Um, a very good afternoon to everyone. How's everyone doing? Um, Good to be back again. You know, um, yeah, I don't know where everyone is today, but or rather where everyone has been this weekend. But I guess we'll just get into it with the whole um discussion of the Grand Prix. Feel free to request come up and speak. And let's share our thoughts and opinions basically. So basically on Baku, Sergio Perez wins in Baku today. I'm not sure anyone expected anything different in terms of which team was going to take it. It was just a matter of which driver was going to take P1 basically. So and then we saw the faster driver, which was Checo. You know, I don't know. It's quite well. I say it's quite worrying and shocking to see the rest of the field be more than 15, 16, 17 seconds away from um the leaders. Which are Max and Checo. Because I don't know. It's quite that's there's quite a well. I say there's quite a gap to build up. And I think we've said it here previously that what do you call it, the Red Bull. We said it previously that the Red Bull, we don't know how fast that Red Bull is, but seeing it seeing it today in Baku, I just wonder when we go to a track like Spa, like how would the gap be? Because I remember Spa it wasn't up to 30 seconds or something in terms of between Max and the rest of the field. So how would the gap be with this RB19, which is going to be very interesting. But yeah, anyway, Ferrari. I don't know why people were expecting that Charles could in any way, how do you be in contention for a win. Obviously, we saw what happened in the um, sprint yesterday. They suffered from tire deck, so there was no way they could have held it. With the kind of car that they have, with the strategy that they have, with I don't know that car. It's I think it's tire more than what do you call it, more than the whole more than its actual job, which is to how do you explain it? Which is to provide results or provide podiums, But what else again? Mercedes in terms of what do you call it? In terms of both drivers, we saw that they did not have the pace today. You know, it's well I say the car was very draggy on the straight line. Um According to Lewis said he's hopeful the upgrades they bring in the coming what do you call it, in the coming weeks will be how do you call it, will have effect or will um bring them closer to the Red Bulls. You understand? So is how do you explain it? So I don't know, but let's see where Mercedes can be. But yeah, let me pass it on to the rest of the room, and then we'll just go on from there. Andrew, do you want to go ahead? Andrew.
Oh, sorry, I didn't know that you called on me. Yeah, we all watched that race. It was not that interesting. There's not really much for me to say other than Red Bull. They still have the straight line missile. Ferrari has come a very long way in that 4 week period, which is good in a way because they were in the championship fight for half of last year, and people were rooting for them to bring the fight to Red Bull, and for Charles to bring the fight to Max and make an interesting season. But we're just all hoping for the best when it comes to Ferrari because they're I don't know, they haven't really done too much, but I'm just happy that they've come back and they found performance, and hopefully they can continue the performance into Miami because that'll be interesting as well to see what they can do. And yeah, Mercedes, going on to them. Yeah, they're about in the same spot that they were last time. Not really much has changed. They still absolutely drag missile for the most part, and they can't get any top end speed. They got good drivers to make the most out of the car, but the car is still not that good, and it shows. Aston Martin, kind of the same thing with Mercedes. You know, one good driver in Alonso, and he's able to maximize the most out of the car, even with the DRS issues that they've had for most of the weekend. I don't really have much to say about this race. It was kind of boring. Like you could have watched the opening couple laps. You could have left and come back and still not really missed anything up until the safety car, and the safety car was kind of unnecessary. Um, yeah, I don't really have that much to say.
Thank you very much, Andrew. But anyway, let's hear from Regis. Regis, go ahead. Thank you.
All right, good afternoon, guys. Let's first of all start by applaud. What kind of boring race? Somebody said that the most exciting stuff that happened on the track today was Esteban Ocon going into the pits on the final lap. That was the only excitement. Well, it is again a real problem for the rest of the field because I don't understand how these guys are 20 seconds, 16 seconds ahead of the rest of the pack, and if this is going to change anytime throughout the season or as the season unfolds, like you were saying, coming down to tracks like Spa, it's even going to be. I hope he gets something happens because it's just going to get a bit more boring than this. I have to put my hat off to Checo. Like I was maybe only that one time he hit the wall, and because he knew that, or maybe that was 1 second lapse in concentration that it wasn't going to happen again, he didn't even bother to say it to the team, but they called him out. Apart from that, I just feel like he had an incredible race, as in he maintained keeping Max steadily out of his DRS zone. Like I was impressed, to be honest, and I just wish he continues like this. But somewhere I just feel like along the line we'll start hearing Checo let Max through. That's what's going to happen because it's literally 6 points. Imagine this guy goes to Miami and still and gets the win there. I know I'm dreaming, but they are going to be tired, and I know that Red Bull will not want a situation where they've got two drivers who I'm sure they want to nip any form of competition between their two drivers in the board as early as possible. So we might see a situation of a Checo let Max through very soon, like we saw last season. What was it? Where I think one of maybe Spain or something or Baku. Mercedes, I don't know this thing they are doing to us of today we are on, tomorrow we are off. I know Hamilton done his utmost to see if he could get past Charles, but he just couldn't, even asking for like extra power and stuff. But let's say this track doesn't favor them. I don't know how this track is compared to other tracks that will like going to Miami and down further down. Like, is this what we are? Is this the performance we are gonna see? Then we can as well just I don't know, but just here to watch Red Bull do their thing. That's why it's almost like the guys Leclerc and Ferrari and their tire degradation is almost like if the race was a maybe 3 laps, maybe they'll be winning races. But at this stage, they need to sort this thing out. Because how can somebody just be on pole? It's beginning to tarnish. This guy has got more than how many? I think he's got like 19 poles in his career. I mean, Charles Leclerc, and has got literally 5 wins. So if you do the ratio, it's not making sense. So you don't get all those poles and you can't convert them to wins. Is not make Max has less poles than wins if my record serve me right. So yeah, I'm really happy, and I'm happy for how the championship is shaping up. Let's hope that Red Bull will allow Checo do his thing, and let us see like if really the fight is just gonna be between the Red Bulls. And I noticed something. I don't know if it was just me. Horner came on the team radio to congratulate Max after the race, and they spoke blah blah blah, something about safety car. Man, it could be anybody's turn. He had to make it clear that it was a safety car, like trying to downplay Checo winning the race, saying it was the safety car that made in my. That is how I heard it. Though anybody can hear what they heard. He just made it seem like safety car is the only reason Max Checo won the race, and I did not hear him congratulate Checo over the team radio. Maybe I don't know. But all in all, boring race. I hope Miami gives us more fun than this. And yeah, I think the only thing that we can take from this weekend is all those sprint and all those things. That's the only exciting thing. Other than that, the race was crap. I yield the mic.
Thank you very much, Regis. Yeah, okay. I think now I'm now in the right um space to talk. So basically, Regis, I have to agree with you first of all in terms of the race that was boring. Imagine I told Imagine that I think lap 20 something. I told Imagine I'm feeling sleepy. He was laughing at me when I told him I was feeling sleepy. But it's usually, well, I say Baku is usually more exciting. But from my own understanding and the whole weekend in general, I think what we've had is that we've had too much track action. You know when they say too much of everything is not good. Friday we had track action. Saturday morning we had track action. Saturday afternoon we had track action. Today again Sunday, the race was by anyway for most people in well I say on the GMT plus one. This is to like 12. So quite early. So I feel we've had a lot of track action. And then it's kind of like there was even there was nothing really exciting going on. So see in terms of, as I said earlier, in terms of the race distance from the leaders to the rest of the field, very very much. So what has this regulation achieved? Because this is just the second year of the regulation, and the regulation is meant to bring about close racing. My understanding is that Red Bull has figured out something the rest of the grids have not been able to figure out. Because why is the rest of the pack so close and Red Bull um far ahead? So at the end of the day, we want, if if you look at the drivers map today, when I was looking at them, you will see that Checo and Max are already in turn two, and the rest of the field, they are just coming out from turns, is it tu- 17, 18. So it's just the, well, I say the gap is so much, and I read this, you mentioned something again. You mentioned a point, but I think probably if I remember it, I'll come back to that. But yeah, okay, let's hear from Enobong, and then I guess we would have Imade and Odunwaya, then Andrew. Anyone, go ahead.
Hello everyone.
Anyone, you're quite far from your.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Okay, yeah, better.
Yeah. In terms of the race, I thought that at least the first 9 or 10 laps were pretty exciting. Um, Maybe it's continuation of first lap action and all of that. But I actually thought that the first half was exciting. The second half was very lackluster. I mean, I agree with everyone that at some point I was praying for a red flag, like just for some form of excitement, in the race. Um, for Red Bull, I mean, at this point, I think it's gonna be. We all sound like a broken record by saying that Red Bull is fast. It's fast. We've agreed. We've moved on. Um, Congratulations to Perez today. I was so proud. I felt like a proud mother. I was like, yes, I was so excited that he could keep Verstappen behind and he could win the race. And his team did not try to sabotage, um, his race today. So congratulations to Perez. I am Regis. I kind of like agree with you. On the whole team radio thing. I mean, I heard. I mean, we cannot say if Horner congratulated Perez or not. That's we didn't hear that team radio, so we can't say that. I mean, maybe he did. That's not something that we can say. But in terms of what he said to Verstappen, maybe maybe it's because I'm not a big fan of Horner, right? But I also felt like he could have just said, "Oh, sorry you were unlucky with the safety car today. Better luck next time." But we did the best that we could, as opposed to saying, "Oh, Perez got lucky with the safety car. That's why he jumped you and he stayed ahead." I just felt that that was, because when he said it, I was like, no, he didn't just get lucky with the safety car. He had a good race. But yeah, I get that. But then again, maybe we're just reaching. When it comes to Horner, I'm very biased. So maybe that's just me. Mercedes. I mean, I think that there was nothing else that we could have pulled out of the hat today. I think we did the best that we could. I'm waiting for upgrades in Imola to see how things turn out for us. Fingers crossed. But we did the best that we could. I'm a little surprised that George could not jump Stroll immediately after Lewis overtook him, because I was like, for sure, George would jump Stroll after Lewis overtook him, because that would have been an easy overtake. But then I don't know what happened there. I just told myself that George is not Lewis. I moved on. But I was very surprised that Stroll was able to keep him behind, for that long to the end of the race, and he couldn't jump him. Um, for Ferrari, I have nothing to say. I don't know. I think their tire deg issues is, still a big problem for them. But I also think tire deg was generally high, in Baku today, because that's one of the issues Lewis had with overtaking Sainz. I was on his onboard, throughout the race, and he kept saying how every time he got close, up to zero point 0.2 seconds or zero point 0.3 seconds, and wanted to do that overtake, his tire temperatures went over the roof, and he had to go back. So there was this back and forth constantly, to the end of the race. Other teams, McLaren, I don't know where Ridwan is, because he kept making all this noise how the McLaren was faster than the Mercedes. I'd like to hear what he has to say today. Um, yeah. Well, Nick DeVries, well, I think that he's becoming Latifi Pro Max. Nothing I can say there, but it was pretty disappointing to see. Bottas, I mean, well, what can we say? But then I think I have a question. Maybe I'd like to hear what everyone thinks. Maybe we don't have to answer it now, maybe later on. So I was wondering, with this new sprint format that we have now, if a driver, gets himself into a situation and it requires a penalty. I mean, aside the penalty where they take off points from your license. So let's say what happened with Georgia Max yesterday, not to even bring it up, but what happened with Georgia Max yesterday, let's say that it was something that warranted a penalty, for example, on George's end. What happens? Since the sprint has no impact on the race, do they just take penalty and points off the driver's license, or what do you do? Do you punish the driver and then it affects the race, but the sprint is an isolated event from the race? I've just been thinking about it, and I think it would be great to hear what everyone else has to say later. Right? Yeah. So that's all from me for now.
Thank you very much, Nanobong. Okay, let's have hey, take back B. Imadi.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. And Regis was the one that made me raise my hand because of his point. Because Regis is always inventing like Ted.
Good good afternoon, Ima. Let me greet you back. Continue.
So Regis is always inventing like that because Ted said similar thing on when the broadcast was on, like or maybe they should engineer something with Checo to make Max pass. I'm like, yeah, we know Horner is public enemy number one, and lots of fans, especially Mercedes, thing for making Max the go boy and whatsoever. But on one hand, we should look at it that Max is bringing the results. But I want to where I disagree with Regis is the whole if Checo continues to Checo has been doing a brilliant job so far this season. So if Checo can keep up with Max, at some point they'll not tell him to step aside and let Max win or somehow engineer it for the whole world to see. I don't believe that. That is us completely reaching. And yeah, I know we dislike Horner, but the truth about it is, as much as Checo has stepped up his game, his driving style and the tracks have also favored him. This is the fourth race of the season, and we've gone to three street circuits. Checo is very good in street circuits and how he exits the slow corners. So let's get to more conventional tracks and see if this new informed Checo continues. If he continues, then Red Bull will truly have a headache on their hands. But the truth about it is, this has not happened, and we are already preempting it. We're already saying, "Oh, this." The other times when they've told Checo to step aside, the other times they've told Checo to step aside, what has been the gap in the championship? I think a minimum of 20 to 30 points. That is how it always it is. And at some point, yes, the only time I think they did it and it was absurd was maybe last year Spanish Grand Prix when Max was having issues with DRS. And that was when we felt Ferrari was finally up to the challenge and Leclerc was going to really give Max a run for his money. But to be honest, all these favoritisms that we keep accusing Horner of, the point the point difference between Max and whosoever is in the second seat has been there for all to see. So if you're a team principal, it didn't happen, and all this didn't happen with Vettel, it didn't happen with Lewis because automatically they were either better than their current teammate or they've built enough of gap for that not to even be the case. It was just standard procedure. Okay, once Lewis is behind you, you know he's going to pass you because of the championship, or when Vettel is, or whosoever. So my point is, before not us trying to engineer all this fitting or favoritism scenario when it hasn't even occurred. Yeah, so that's that. Ferrari. Well, I think I was the one hyping up Ferrari at the beginning of the season. That they have the best package, but they need to fix their engine up. Well, I think I have to eat my words. And when are we actually going to start talking about signs? He's not living up to half of the expectation at all. And this is the same person that is rumored that Audi wants to employ and be their lead driver when the time comes. Anyway, it seems the McLaren updates finally work. Let's see how it works on a different kind of circuit. And yeah, that's my contribution. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Imadi. Okay, let's have Odunwaya.
Can I just quickly say that Imade has just even buttressed upon our points here? But thank you, Imade. I will respond
What's
going
the
forward.
what's the point?
The point is that when Checo and Max are now on equal points, they'll have no choice than to, like, when he's now doing it, it will now be clear as daylight, because if he wins next, I'm just anyway.
But that is not what I
I'll,
said now. Abi
but
Regis,
he
this is
said
not what I said. Is that what I
no.
said?
He said that the main reason is because Lewis used to be like ahead in points
My point
ahead of
is,
the
my
next driver.
point is, my point is, all this kind of favoritism happens when there's a lead driver and there's a supposed quote and unquote subordinate. So if
Thank
if
you.
Checo If Checo continues to put up these stellar performances when we get to old and conventional tracks, then there will be a headache, and this supposed favoritism that you claim always happens
Okay,
would be
will not
difficult
happen.
to happen. That's my point.
Okay. But me, I'm saying it will still happen. Now let us watch and see. Because
Prophet Regis, no problem.
oh yeah, now we are here.
Um. Okay, but Regis, okay, you mentioned something about congratulating Checo on the sorry, Max on the radio today. Let me you the way Hona sounded there, in situations in life, there's a prevention before cure mechanism. I felt he wanted to attack the situation first before Max comes to say it with his own mouth. Because if Max starts to talk now, the conversation will not end there. So it's just better he hits it first, then just pacify him, and say, okay, better luck next time. But
Okay, you
um
think it's a managerial style.
yeah, it's more of it because
So
at the
is he
end of
scared
the
of
day,
Max then? Because that's how it
uh,
sounds.
Max is your lead driver. He's the current world champion.
yeah,
It's not about being scared of him. You have to manage him. If
yeah,
I'm
Okay,
when
sorry for breaking in like this, but Emade, your argument just sounds off because how are you saying this is just the third race? You can't be saying lead driver in the third race. What he's saying is actually true. That conversation did not make sense. He would not pacify Checo the way he did to Max today, and that's the point. We're saying, oh, they're being more, they're showing favoritism to Max, and everybody can say it. The comment was one of like, you don't say that if you say okay it's fine he had to pacify Max because Max is this, Max is that, that actually buttresses the point that Regis is trying to say, because he would not do that if it was Checo on the other
Checo.
hand. And that's what we're saying. You can't say Max is your lead. This is just anybody can come up today. If somebody has a car as good as Red Bull tomorrow, then that championship is up for grabs. You can't be saying we're not in the 20th race, we're just in the third race, or yeah, this is the third or fourth race if I'm not mistaken. You can't be saying lead driver in the fourth or third race. Perez has a good grip over this championship if given the opportunity. So if you're saying he's pacifying Max, which is what the admin is saying, then that means you're buttressing his point that at the
But
end of the day you're showing
I,
favoritism to one driver over another. Because if the roles were reversed, he would not be pacifying Checo like this at all. He won't.
I think I think you misunderstood me. At the beginning of it, I intentionally didn't address the comments from Honor because I agree with Enobong and Regis on that point. The point I was addressing was the actual drivers championship points difference that Regis made. That if Checo goes to Miami and wins and they are close, and Checo continues to put up these stellar performances, and that's what I addressed. But on this other point of the actual verbal comments from Horner, the truth about it is, we like it or not, Max is the person that has been bringing the results to Red Bull for the past how many years? How many, or 5, 6 years? We can't deny that. We like him, we dislike him, we give Checo the opportunity or not. This guy has been given the results. If someone has been giving you the results consistently, if the talent and the operational window of a particular driver is so large and can almost work with everything, by default, you're most likely going to gravitate towards that person. Now, let's go forward. Let's go to today's race. By convention, teams give the driver in front the better strategy. We can all say that Red Bull made a mistake today by pitting Max. They hurriedly pitted Max. They could have, if they waited a little bit longer, Max would have gotten the better strategy and still be ahead. So what admin was saying was, before Max comes on air to come and starts lamenting or saying something or trying to be ahead of the narrative or whatsoever, that's what Honor tried to do. And as I said, I intentionally didn't address that because up to an extent I agree with you. The statement was weird. All I was addressing was the favoritism from the points angle.
yeah. Is everybody's point clear now?
I don't know about points being clear. And I mean, the point you mentioned about the point you mentioned about Max bringing results. I mean, look at Mercedes. Lewis has been bringing in the results over the years, but doesn't mean that Mercedes would favor Lewis over Lewis over George. If you see what happened in
Who
Mercedes,
carried, I'm
you
sorry to
can see
interrupt you,
that
but
they're
who
giving
carried the
equal.
Sensors?
I feel like
Who carried
Checo
the
is a
Sensors last year
no.
and
Checo
made
is
Mercedes
a
what it is now?
Checo is a great driver. Max is a great driver. They have their strength, they have their weaknesses. I feel like if we're being honest, we will. You can't say that Red Bull is not favoring Max over Checo, and you can't say it's because of the results he has been bringing over the years. You know that you have great drivers. If you give this other person the opportunity at or the same favoritism you give him, or just treat them equally and allow them to bring results on the table. If you Checo is good, it's not like he's a. I mean, I don't want to slander any driver, but Checo is as good as Max. Yeah, Max might be better than him in some way, but I don't feel like they should be gravitating towards Max at every point in time. They have a lot of opportunities to win this race and win it with Checo, and they will be fine. But they want to win it with Max, and that's where the problem
Guys,
is.
let's be realistic, man. Listen, we can't teach Red Bull, tell Red Bull how to, operate their team, right? If he wants to favor Max, I mean, we go back and forth about this thing all the time. If Honda wants to favor Max, he should just go ahead. I mean, I don't think we should make it a problem how I mean we always go
I'm
we always do this all the time. We shouldn't make it a problem how Honda wants to manage his team. That's I mean it's Checo's cross to bear. But I also think that we should not delude ourselves to say that Checo can be placed on the same pedestal as Max Verstappen. We all know that that's not true.
Well, true what you said, and to be fair, I think what you said is just true. Makes sense. Let's just take it for what it is. It's Red Bull's team. They have the Honda has the sole decision to do whatever he likes, and let's just be honest with that. That they're not ever going to place two of them on the same pedestal, and that's it. So, I mean, all the best to them. To be honest.
so
Anyway, wait,
so
wait.
sorry.
Me, I want like
All right.
okay.
Okay, no, I just wanted to say something. I'm just surprised that the point of the conversation of, oh, because the driver has been bringing results does not mean, are you telling me at this point in time, if Mercedes finally unlocks their car, they would actually put Lewis and George on same pedestal?
Now
Come on now, let's be
let's
serious.
make no let's make no mistakes. Even now, if you're a true Mercedes fan, you know that Lewis is always placed ahead of George. I mean, I hear that Mercedes
Exactly.
we like to do our drivers at the same, but I promise
I
you,
don't
when it
it,
comes
it is
down to
funny.
it,
It is honestly funny to me. It is funny to me. Like, you think Lewis has been in this team for X amount of years, has gotten the results of the team, and then if the team finally gets a competitive car, they would put George ahead of Lewis. Come on now. Anyways, I rest my case.
Anyway, Mumi, what I was trying to clarify in terms in terms of the word pacify is, take for example now, Max is how 25 years or so. You cannot, the way you would talk to Max, a 25-year-old, is not the same way you would talk to a father of three. That is who is Checo. Checo is a more level-headed individual and human being in terms of understanding, and he's more matured in the way he will carry himself. You understand? Max can come out of the car now. The next thing he will come and say is that, well, he might even just throw the team under the bus. So hence why, I feel Christian coming on the radio to quickly talk to him is just a way to say, you know what, don't mind him. We got this. So it's just to make him feel good. That's just my own understanding. You understand? Because at the end of the day, Christian's aim is to win both championships, and he can't do it without Max alone. You understand? So he needs both drivers on the same wavelength with a very functional car, with able to score podiums and win. So yeah, that's just um my clarification on that. But okay,
Yeah. I mean, sorry,
quickly.
can I just to add to your points, which I agree with the whole pacifying thing, but I don't think it's necessarily the case. Because this whole thing started from Regis, you know, trying to cook. He knows what he was doing, but let's not go back to that. I just want to remind everybody of Jeddah last year. 2022 Grand Prix. Same situation. Checo was leading, got caught out by the safety car, and then Leclerc and Max passed him. And during all these arguments, it just felt like I was going crazy because I can remember last year, Christian came on the radio to say the exact thing to Checo at the end of the race. And during all this argument, I've gone to YouTube and I've watched it. It took me time to find the video because it felt like I was going crazy because it's like all of us watch the same. I keep saying it's all of us watch the same races. We watch the same broadcast, and then we come on this space and it's like maybe my own was in Chinese and our person's own was in Russian, and maybe we got different translations from what was being broadcasted. So it was very confusing to me. Go back and watch on the F1 channel the the videos they usually post drivers radio at the end of the race. Honor said the same thing to Checo. Sorry about the safety car. It was bad luck. The same thing he said today. But Regis has come to come and cook. And now you've had 20 minutes discussion on a non-existent thing. No problem.
Where is Regis? Regis was here when it started, though.
He
He
will
caught
run
up.
away. He will
Oh,
come
yeah.
back later and say, "Oh, he was caught up with something."
Oh my lord. Okay. Um. Okay. Still on this particular topic, just before we progress down to everyone, does anyone still want to chip in on this? Um. Lap.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Abdul. Okay. Abdul. Down. Okay. Yeah. Please go ahead.
So, I mean, Abasekeme just made some points I wanted to make, but I think just people here blowing things out of proportion.
Yes.
Now, if I take you back to the first race of the season and this same race last year in Baku. Let's start from last year. This same race in Baku. For Mercedes now, George Russell finished on the podium, if I remember correctly, and Lewis Hamilton finished somewhere down, gave an Oscar-worthy performance about his back, and immediately Toto Wolff came out and said massaging him, managing him, quote and unquote, saying the car was an S box and what. The same car that your teammate used to
Shit
finish on the
box.
podium. Yeah, the same car that your teammate used to finish on the podium. He was now coming to apologize to one driver and saying, "Oh, it's an S box." So, I mean, in that case, nobody said anything. I mean, just look at the comparisons there. So, and as Akbar Kemi said, the team principal's job is to manage your good drivers and ensure that you win the title. So, it's just this matter. That's just what I wanted to clarify. But it's just being blown out of proportion. The two drivers, all of them will be all right. To be honest, it's normal to massage the driver who finishes lesser than his teammates because okay, you still want to make him feel good, keep spirits high, and all that because it will be yeah, because that's easier. So I believe we've blown this too far, and I like how Enobong and Imadi dragged the matter to an extent where Enobong even admitted that yes, there's favoritism even in Mercedes, and the two drivers would not be equal. I like when people say things as they were. So that's just it.
Thank you very much, Abdul. Even though I see some hands that disagree with you. But yeah, let's have honorable, please. Honorable, don't be offended. Then we have Andrew, please.
Good afternoon, guys. Um, First of all, let me start from apologizing to George Russell because yesterday I felt like it was because of him that Max had a bad sprint race. But today I just noticed that Max wasn't on it this weekend. Like he wasn't on it during the race. Like Perez was way better than him this weekend. Then whatever we saw Carlos Sainz do this weekend was Ferrari's true pace. I know that we got to cook Charles for his pole to win ratio, but Charles' race was, to be fair, the same thing, quite the same as Carlos, because at the end of the day, they were driving at the same pace and the same thing was happening to them. So, and now to the matter at hand, I understand like where everybody's coming from, especially those that feel like, oh, that there's some sort of favoritism in Red Bull. But we go through the same thing every year. We've gone through the same thing the past 2 years. Last year, when at the beginning of the season, it felt like Perez was going to give Max a run for his money, and then Max just became better as the season went on. Then everybody said, "Oh, they are disadvantaged Perez and Red Bull." So at the end of the day, at this time, like at this point, I'm already used to it because I've been hearing this from Albon, Gasly. So this from Ricciardo, to be fair. So this is something that we are used to, and I also wanted to add something that you, everybody understands that if Perez wasn't the one leading the race, and let's say the same thing was happening to Max, at a point Red Bull would have made the decision to have gone on it to stop her, because at the end of the day, worst case scenario is that they would have come second, and best case scenario is because he had better tires. If they had done it to stop her, then they will pass the person in first. But because they looked at it like, okay, the person in first is a Red Bull driver, they do not want to have a scenario where it feels like they give one driver the better strategy and they give another driver a strategy that was worse. So Red Bull could have done that, but they didn't. So any conversation that we had after is that they had after, like Ona and Max had after. At the end of the day, we cannot get to ourselves that it wasn't true. Like the safety car kind of fucked up Max race, because we don't know if Sergio could have passed Max if the race went without the safety car. We really do not know. But we cannot get to ourselves that the safety car did not fuck up Max race. So if Ona is coming on to say that, oh, sorry for the safety car, that because at the end of the day, it was the team that made the decision to box Max at that point. So it is up to them to apologize. So yeah, that's what I wanted to say about the situation. But at the end of the day, once Max starts getting points over the season, we would come back to this and hear it again, and they will tell us that, oh, Red Bull has favored Max again. So we're already used to it. It happens every year. So yeah.
But anyway, let's have a sleeping dog slide. Alright, no problem. Andrew, please go ahead.
I'm ready to move it on. Let's talk about how this was the worst race weekend in many, many years. The worst ever. I wouldn't say ever. Probably the worst I've ever watched. Um, it was bad. It was not good. It was boring. It was full of people trying to find the limit, and the limit was the wall. Turn 15. They kept tagging it. Junior formulas kept tagging the same wall. There wasn't any grip for anybody throughout the entire race, and then there was no track evolution at all. It was just boring. The sprint with this new sprint format sucks. It's bad because I thought the original sprint, that sprint format they had before, when they introduced it in 2021 or something like that, I thought that was going to be bad. But that format literally had one of the best races I've ever watched personally in my entire life, with Brazil in 2021. But this was awful. It wasn't something that anyone wanted to watch. There's just not enough for the teams to practice. There's not enough. The margin for error is small. You saw that with Williams. Like, I've never seen, or at least I don't think I've ever seen, an even car grid, basically just to start a race, and that's what we saw yesterday with the sprint, because Logan Sargent, they didn't get his car ready in time, and basically only ran 19 cars for the entire race, or until people start dropping out. But it was just not. I just don't see how they can consider this to be a sustainable thing, because the sprint has literally nothing to do with the race anymore. It's literally just, we're gonna give out these extra points, and if you can get them, congratulations. Okay, if you're like the top 3 to 4 teams, you have the opportunity to get extra points every sprint weekend. Essentially, it's just stupid. Like, I don't see how that brings anything to the championship, other than, like, this is a massive gimmick. I couldn't see anything positive that came out of this weekend, other than, you know I still can't even think about anything positive now. But it, I just, I have no words for how how detrimental this was for many of the teams. Like Alpine, Friday was an entire loss. Saturday was basically a loss for them as well. I mean, they just basically went out and blew money, and they didn't get anything out of those 2 weekends. They probably got a decent amount of data, but they didn't really have anything to gain. And Williams, breaking cars, AlphaTauri. I mean, I guess it put teams like, or put people like DeVries. He's now, in my opinion, he's on fraud watch. I mean, he dominated, or not dominated. He did very well in the junior formulas. He did, Formula E champion, but he's losing to, Yuki, and Yuki's not. He's just making it look easy while he's crashing and bringing out the safety car and outbraking himself and things of that. I honestly can't really still think about anything positive from this weekend. Let's go back to Saturday again. Like the Prix, what are the sprint shootout qualifying, whatever that's called. Even that was a joke, because there's people, even if they were to get into the third session, they wouldn't be able to run in the third session because they don't have tires to run in that session, because they use the tires in a different time that weekend for regular qualifying for the the event that actually gives out the most points, which is the actual race. I just don't really understand what Liberty Media's thinking with running this and doing the sprints like this. They honestly either need to go back to what they were doing before, or if
And
they really want
Andrew,
people to be like on board, they need
Andrew,
to do.
sorry, Andrew,
Yeah,
sorry.
go
I
ahead.
just thought of something in terms of this whole sprint shootouts. If, for example, now rain fell, how would the tires have been allocated? Would they have been intermediates all round? Because SQ1 was mediums, then SQ1 mediums, SQ2 mediums, and SQ3 softs. What was the idea, or what was the plan if rain had fallen this weekend? Because that's just what came into my head.
See, that's a good question. I didn't even look at the race documentation to know what the plan would be if it were to rain. I mean, it's probably raining in Azerbaijan right now, for all we know. I'm not looking at the forecast, but like it's probably raining there right now. But if it were to be raining during the whatever sprint shootout quali, whatever they call it, then that kind of also eliminates the purpose of that entire event, because the sprint will also probably be wet as well, and it just depends on the entirety of the of the weekend. Like it might turn out to be like there's have to be like pit strategy involved. The track is drying. Even though it was only like what 15 something laps, 17 laps. Like I don't see how it's just sustainable. Like when there's wet qualifying, like even like when it's sprint qualifying, we saw last year in Brazil. Like even if it's rain, it's not the end of the world. Just put the wet tires on, and you're all right. Inter's on, you'll be okay. You can just do what you need to do. I don't understand how they think this is just sustainable. It just doesn't make any sense. They honestly need to
Sorry,
go
sorry,
ahead.
and I mean, I understand your point, but we always have to look at these things from a holistic point of view. I mean, Formula One has existed for how long now, and we are all used to the same format. And it's like everything in life. Whenever there's a change, we all seem to cry out loud, and we feel uncomfortable because we need to adjust the way we do things. So I mean, looking at it from that point of view, I understand why the sprint format was put in place. It will take time for us to get used to it. And to answer the question about if it had rained, what would they have done? I guess it would have been the same story about providing the teams with this equal tires, and you go out there and do the lap.
Exactly.
So we just
That's
have to have an open mind, or else we keep on we get stuck in the
Mr.
past, right?
Cristobal,
I mean, it's sorry
No,
for
no, no. I wouldn't even say that, because like if
it's
we go back to like the 70s and the 80s, Like there was you had to qualify to get into the race weekend, Jake. You can literally, me and you can open up a race team right now. We can make a Formula One car, and if
Yes,
we can keep
but
up
this
with
this
everybody
is
else,
not
we can get in.
this is not 1970, right? I guess you don't want to go back to how life was in 1970, or would you? Right.
I'm not
So
that old, so
no, so I think it's important that we kind of I mean, like I mentioned, every time change comes, we all struggle. It's a matter of time until we get used to it. The teams are crying, everyone is complaining. It's a matter of time. It takes time, and we just have to have that courage to introduce those change and stick to it. And I remember Enobong asking the question, "What happens?" Just to answer that question you asked earlier, what happens if someone incurs a penalty during the sprint? According to the rule, it says what if you incur any grid penalties in the sprint, it will apply to the race. So that's just what I wanted to say on that.
right. That's where I'm like the issue is because like the sprint and the race are two separate events. They just happen to be in the same track on the same weekend. They give out different points, and you have to qualify separately for two different events. It personally just doesn't make any sense. Me, I
Well,
am not opposed to change. Like you say that like, oh, I don't like change, or like I don't want to see
not
change.
you,
That's not
not
necessarily
you. It's
true.
a
I
general
just don't.
thing.
The way that they're going about it is kind of like when Formula E first came about, and they had like the fan boost, like basically
Mhm.
saying, me and you, and people in this group can choose who deserves to go faster. Even if it's a spec series, we can choose who deserves to go faster because we want them to go faster. It's not for racing. It's not for the progression of the pinnacle of motorsport. It's just to get like a practice session where you can't stop your car, or you won't gain anything. It puts a limit on the development of the vehicles that they're running, and the development of everything that they're doing, in my opinion, because they're wasting time trying to prepare for an event instead of putting the hour every session to make their car actually go faster. And that's what this
Yeah,
event does. They're not focusing specifically on the performance of their cars. They're just focusing on, oh, we got to get points, because that's what they're here to do, is to get championship points. It's a sport. You got to get points to win at the end of the day.
no,
But
I don't think that's the point. I mean, it's like in our normal lives as well, where we all work. I mean, we are challenged every day. So the mechanics are challenged to react in a different way to what they're used to. The drivers are challenged to react in a different way to what they're used to. That's part of change. And for that to actually function, they would need to gather some data, which is what they're doing with all the sprint formats they introduced. So at some point, someone would have to sit down and analyze the data they've gotten. I said, okay, look, based on fans' reactions, based on the numbers we have, we think this is the way forward in the future. So for that to happen, there needs to be time to gather those data. I think maybe moving on from that, I think one thing I would probably like to talk about is um, what was said earlier by the host regarding why was the whole thing changed. I mean, if you look at the race today, Alonso had to fall back from Leclerc just to save his tire. So what was the aim of the change? The aim of that change initially was to actually create more close racing. But looking at what is happening now, we are falling back into that cycle of, oh, tires are overheating again. Now we need to keep 2 second distance again. So one needs to question that whole change. Was it actually designed to address that issue of cars being able to race each other? Or was it also designed to stop a certain team or to minimize their dominance, right? I understand Formula One goes through changes from time to time, but I think Formula One would be better off if they really asked more functional questions than just trying to create a show. But yes, the show is part of it. People are paying for it, so people want to be entertained.
But to answer your questions, yes, to both of them, just yes. They wanted to stop Mercedes. They completed that mission with a lot of efficiency, and it's about money at the end of the day. That's it. They want to get paid big bucks.
Um, thank you
Yeah,
guys.
that's part of Formula One. Formula One, it's all about money, obviously. So
But the teams are, they can't spend the money that they want to spend on their car. They have to spend a certain amount. But it's all
yes,
about money
yes,
regardless.
It's because I mean, look at it from that angle. I mean, if you look at the way they have the wind tunnel time, right? That rule is actually aimed at ensuring that the lower teams get more time. But if you don't have money to also carry out the wind tunnel test, it doesn't really help. So I think at some point, Formula One needs to ask itself, do we need to create a certain standardization of parts to ensure that people are, we don't have this massive gap between.
So spec series like formerly
Not,
IndyCar,
not, not,
Junior
not not that
Formula.
deep, not that deep. I mean, you can create a certain level of how do I say it? Like look at it like a box, right? Everyone gets this box, and what you do with this box is left to you, right? So something like that.
Yeah,
I
you're
understand
describing
Ferrari
like a
and
spec
Mercedes.
series.
Yeah, maybe not that deep, but yeah, maybe something similar, just to spice up the whole thing and not having one team being 1 second faster than the rest. But yes, it's also, if you look at it from the other side, it's also you trying to stop innovation, right? If you create something like that, the innovative guys or ladies, whoever, will suffer because they have ideas they actually can't implement due to those rules that is stopping them. But that's it for me. Sorry for the long conversation.
Thank you very much, guys. Okay, let's have Miss Catrock. Miss Catrock, thank you for waiting. Then, and we'll have um Command Gracious and Read one in that order. Then Abasia came in. Thank you, guys. Miss Catrock. Okay, okay. Let's have Gracious, please.
At this point, I'm not even sure what I wanted to say earlier, but yeah, I wanted to also buttress the point that I think his name is Andrew mentioned. This sprint whole new format thing, I don't see the need. And to even top up like what he said in terms of like development, part of the reasons why we have the cost cap is because F1 said they want to try to match all the teams on the field to like the same level up. And when you have a whatever it is that you're having with this whole sprint shootout, it just kind of takes away from that because you don't give teams the opportunity to be able to develop their cars or develop their setup for the race. And to be fair, I shared a tweet on the space, and honestly, I think sprint has worked in the past because at the end of the day, it's tied to the actual main race on Sunday because F1 is the Sunday race, not whatever it is that we do on Saturday or whatever we do before then. And sprint has worked because it was tied to the main race at the end of the day. But when you make sprint an independent race and then you make a race, I mean, in addition to all the races that we have to watch, I don't know. I mean, let's see how it works by the next, because a lot of people are saying, oh, it didn't work this week. It was the first time track domination and all of that stuff. Let's see how it works for the next time we have sprint. Because at the end of the day, even by today's race, I was even bored because I mean, you had Friday, you have Saturday, you have Sunday. It's boring for me. I'm sure it's tiring for the drivers too. And at the end of the day, you people are saying, oh, it's going to cause chaos and all of that. It's just entertainment at the end of the day. This whole new sprint format, honestly, I don't see how it works. It's not tied to Sunday race, so I don't see how it should or why it should be here in the first place because F1 is the Sunday race. So if we're having a sprint that is independent of this race, I don't think it works, and I don't think we should have that. That's to buttress the point that Andrew pointed out. It might work for you, but for me, this whole new thing, it doesn't work out. And then generally, I think I was also going to comment on like the race itself today. Overall, it was a boring race. I mean, I still don't see the whole need for this cost cap. It's the second year in place, or let's see how it goes. But at the end of the day, it's the same thing. Red Bull is still being a Red Bull. If anything, maybe the whole Aston Martin becoming what it is now. I don't know if it's because of the cost cap. We don't know if they broke the cost cap, but let's see how that goes. But then at the end of the day, it was a and I think the next lineup of races will also kind of be meat because we have Miami next week, which is more like a celebrities hangout than anything else. And then you have it's Monza next, I think. Yeah, Red Bull would just be a Red Bull race, and then we have Monaco. That's like one of the worst races for me because it's a horrible track. I don't like it. So I think we're seeing like a lineup of races that will all be mid, and but we'll just have like a lineup of boring race, except something happens for to teams like Red Bull, which is very. I mean, we can't really rely on that. But generally, I was just going to say, oh yeah, I was going to talk about the freeze and talk about how I had like high expectations for him prior to now that he's actually on the team, because he's somebody said he's becoming the next Latifi, and to be honest, I think so. My expectation for what he would do is high. I remember somebody mentioning during the space last year that, oh, I don't have a high expectation for this guy, and I was actually saying, oh no, I feel like he would really perform, and he's performing zero. Like it is really bad. Like it's really bad, and it'll also be interesting to hear what people think about the whole Alonso Stroll thing today, the whole breaking advice that he gave him and what happened afterwards. But yeah, generally it was a boring race, and we will still have boring races to come. But yeah.
Thank you very much, Gracious. Um, Gracious, while you were speaking, what I just even realized, on my mind is that this new format is a one-off testing as per they are just testing it. We're going back to the regular scheduled sprint. But upon discovery, we're going to have this format in Spa, Qatar, Austin. Like, oh God. I personally, I'm not even looking forward to it. I'm not even looking forward to having this format because what's going on here? Qatar, like, how many overtaking opportunities are in Qatar?
No, Qatar is even better. Qatar is better than Baku, I think.
I don't know about that.
I don't even know who is doing this. Man, I don't know.
The Monacali,
Don Gally, yeah, I don't
the
know.
money Kali.
If anyone is interested in contacting them, the email address is f1media@f1.com. You can send your complaints there because I don't know what's going on with all this scheduling. But yeah, Nick DeFries. Oh yeah, gracious. Mention Nick DeFries. Well, I said it here. The moment he drove that car in Bahrain, I think I don't know. God has blessed me. I'm very fortunate with studying people very well. The moment he drove that car in Bahrain, I said, "Nah, this chap is not. You are not cut out for this. You can't fill in Gasly shoes. You are not the one. Just look at only you. How much damage the one man accumulates in one weekend? He came out today. Oh, it's clearly my fault. It's clearly my fault. It's clearly my fault. Of course, who are you going to blame? My uncle? Oh, it's clearly my fault. It's clearly my fault. Hey God. It's like I keep on saying it. There's it. You cannot you cannot go from a Corolla to a Mustang. No, it's not possible. You are going to crash. You have accidents. So you have to jump in between. And Nick DeFries, I'm sorry, the way it's going, it's not looking good, bruv. I'm sure Regis is here. Regis said we should give him 10 races. 10. Yet Yuki Tsunoda, God forgive me. Tsunoda, is he done with puberty yet? Is outpacing this boy, showing him how to lead a team. You are coming out to give press conference. You should not, that kind of thing that you should not even. Do you not see the way who was pissed the other day that they said they should not talk to him, that he does not want to answer questions. That's how you're meant to be pissed. That, oh, not the one you come and be raising your chin. What's his name? Karun is asking you a question. You said you are answering. The destroy your car is more than your yearly salary. And they will still pay you salary because they are legally binded to pay you salary. It's not fair. It's not fair. You should pity Helmut. An 80-year-old man gave you job. Now you not gonna stress that man now to go and start looking for replacement. He thought he was giving him an adult car to drive. They said, oh, they should give him car. No wonder Mercedes quickly shipped him. Mercedes said one how this you call it, one baggage, one waste load um dumped on the roadside. Obviously, Toto could not win championship. This is where he saw it could hurt the Red Bull family, and he has given them Nick de Vries. Well, congrats, guys. Congrats, guys. Ridwan, Abdul, congrats, guys. Hopefully, Iwasa will be ready in time to take Nick de Vries position. But Nick, nah. My advice for him is just go to the next step now. At this, it's punditry. Because Indica, if you go and do this one Indica, Americans they don't have patience. If you go and do this one Indica, they will kick him out one time. So I'm just advising you should just go and do all this punditry. After all, Dutch journalists they are not plenty, so I'll be Dutch pundits they are not plenty, so you should join them, the English speaking ones. That's just my take on it. But yeah, okay. Thank you very much. I think I'm done with Nick de Vries for today. But yeah.
Admin, what did Nick De Vries do to you before you continue? What did he do to you?
Admin wants that seat.
No,
He wants that seat for himself.
no, I'm not saying what it is. No, is he not the guy that came and said he's here to lead a team?
The
Why?
man is poor.
How
Don't
are you
even
going to lead the
defend.
team? Are you going to lead the team from
You,
behind?
you you have to understand that he's a rookie. He's a rookie.
Through what? If you're a rookie,
Of
then you don't come out and
what?
say you want to lead teams.
No, he's not a
Where to
rookie
start
now.
this matter?
Rookie what?
Rookie driver in Formula One. He's a rookie driver.
He's a rookie
From
driver in Formula
championship
One.
of E.
That's why I'm
Come
saying
on. That
Please
boy
leave
needs
chat.
packed,
Leave,
packed, packed back
let's
home.
let's leave all those Formula E championship. Let's leave all those things. Formula E is a different motor race category. You is not people go to Formula E, they are winning championship. They are winning races, they did not do it here. People go to IndyCar, they are carrying pole position. See Grosjean yesterday. They are celebrating him like a king because he took pole position in this thing. What did he do in Formula One?
Crash.
Oh.
Fire catching merchant.
Let's not forget, Mazepin has won a race this year. Oh. He won a race that he bullied another person in that Asian series. If you cannot do it at the pinnacle of motorsport, you are not meant to be. You can go and do it in any other motorsport series, but once you cannot do it here, in Formula One, then I don't think you. I don't think you. I don't think
Well, well,
it should be in your CV
to be
basically,
honest, don't mind me. I
because
know the guy has like I don't even know how to even cover for Nick De Vries. I don't even know what to say again. Free practice one on Friday. My mind was flying. I said, okay, Nick De Vries is ready to cook. Now look at where this guy is. But let us go. I think we should. Are we going to Nick now? Those guys are bottom. I don't know. I listened to somebody say something about the sprint. I understand that nobody likes the sprints. Admin, I think you're not a fan of it. But let us remember that championships have been won by 1 point. Championships have been won by 2 points. 8 points are up for grabs, and so forth and so on. So I don't know why it is so much of a no, no, no. Everybody's saying it's different from the race, but it is championship points at the end of the day. If you sort yourself out, do your things correctly, you can pick up some points. Take 1 point here, take 2 points here. You add it up at the end of the day. That's what I see it as. But obviously, people are thinking that this has watered down the Grand Prix itself. Well, I don't think that's the reason. I just feel like it was boring. It was boring. It doesn't have to do with the sprint.
Regis, can I quickly say something? I don't think we have. Sorry for cutting you off. I don't think we have a problem with the sprint. I think we have a problem with the new sprint format. Nobody's saying take off the sprint. The points can help. We're saying the sprint format that was introduced this weekend is what is wrong. Nobody's saying take out the sprint. Leave the sprint. Leave the points if they want to keep it on. We're saying the sprint format. That's what we're saying is wrong, not the
Okay, so
sprint
the
itself.
problem is SQ1, SQ2, and SQ3.
It's making it independent of the actual race. I'm making all this, putting all
You know,
this zazz around it. That's my issue personally
Nah, here.
with
you know,
this new sprint
I
format.
don't even mind the
No.
sprint format. I think a problem that I have personally is hearing that if someone incurs a penalty, like a 5 place grid drop, the person is going to have to serve that penalty at the race itself. When the sprint is supposed to be a
Yes.
different entity from the, that's what's blowing my mind. I mean, I'm fine with the sprint format. They want to. I'm not sure if I like it, but I can
Personally,
see
I
how it
don't, and
goes.
I agree with
In
the
the next.
with Cristobal who said, look, I think it's something about change. Everybody, when there's change, people are not. You always have this inertia. People no one move from where people don't want to move from where they are, and it's
Yeah.
just what it is. I don't see. He's stuck saying about the only reason I'll say is maybe the engineers need to be paid more because now the window for which you operate is now smaller. So you need to show all working faster. I just feel like it's going to show those that are good. You show yourself in a short space. You have only FP1, do your thing. You set up the car. Now, see, Magnussen had to go do all those things. That's to say the engineers, they've not gotten it right this time. But people who will get it right in the future, they'll drink from it, they'll enjoy
Exactly.
from it. It's just the window is closer now. You need to work
Yeah.
harder, you need to do your thing. So I don't, I feel like, I don't know, I'm literally.
I'm with you, Regis. Sorry to skip the queue, but I'm with you, Regis. You see, FP3, what is FP3? I would rather have a sprint because honestly, you have a real race
110%.
condition where you can actually be able to make up better for the race if you're prepared. I think the sprint is fantastic. Let me tell you, if you're going to the race, you would really vouch for the sprint because on Friday, you know, they are hitting the ground running. You're not going to pay your tickets and you're busy watching practice. I would like for practice to go 2 hours if on the sprint weekend. I mean, there was a change of points, there was a change of tires. There's always somebody fighting change. But honestly, the sprint is very, very good for you to set yourself up for the race. You know, like today, I really believe Hamilton benefited from the sprint of yesterday. So if you have FP3, you still have people not showing their full card. You still have people not, saving up their strategies. The smart guy, the tactician of the day, is going to win with these sprints, and you have an opportunity to get points for teams that don't have points. So I wouldn't be begrudging it really. Maybe for me, what I would like is for more time to be given to practice so that people don't DNF over, I don't know, the wheel gun, the tire is not screwed on properly. That is what I would like to have. Otherwise, I fully agree with the sprint. Get in the race and enjoy 3 days of racing. Why not?
But yeah, but you know, but when you add an extra hour to the testing, that was exactly what triggered this whole change. Teams like Red Bull back in the years where they had the fastest car with the blown diffuser and all this stuff. Now, if you give them 2 hours, all these teams come out and they just do 15, 20 minutes of time on the track. Now, you have people paying hundreds of dollars, thousands of dollars to come and watch this race, and they barely see the cars because the drivers and the teams, all they need to do is to go do one, two, three setups and see, go on a fast lap, and then they can tell already, okay, the car is good, especially the ones who are dominating. So these people just end up sitting down or sitting in the garage and not coming out. So if you extend the 1 hour that they have, that's in my own opinion already counterproductive, right? So for me it should go in a direction where teams are actually forced to really come out and give the show to the viewers because those people are paying quite a lot of money to come and watch them. So if you come out and just spend 10 minutes on track or 20 minutes out of 1 hour, I don't see the value in that.
Well, let me make me. I want to say something that sometimes viewers should also understand that drivers and engineers have their own life because at the end of the day, all this track action, we are enjoying it. Some people are suffering for it behind the scenes.
Yeah, but they
Yeah.
are being paid for it. That's their
No,
job.
no, no. For
It's their
regardless
job.
of being paid for it, how much are some of these people being paid? Regardless.
What?
You understand? No, what, hold on.
Not
Some
everyone's a millionaire on
mechanics
this
are being
team
paid
now.
in the range of 30,000, 40,000 a year, dollars. So if someone's earning 30, 40,000 to be going around every year, yes, you love the sport, but at the end of the day, there's the mental stress that comes with it. There's the physical stress that comes with it. You
Like in
know,
every job we do.
wait, hold on. Apart from that, you also have journalists that are always around on track. You also have media personnel. You also have the behind the scenes team that make the experience what it is for us to discuss it here. So I think it's also important for for these parties to be considered as well, because in as much as everyone is paying a certain amount of money, yes, at the end of the day, the sport is not cheap. You understand? It's millions of dollars to develop the car for us to see the vroom 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 that we see. So I guess regardless of everything, there should be a bit of a limit to something, because recently now they are saying they want to increase it to 30 races. That means who knows, by next year now we might have 12 sprint races or 12 sprint events. Before, how many were we having before? I think we used to have 1 hour, 1.5 hour of practice before. They shortened it to 1 hour. They introduced sprints. Now it's sprint shootouts. The format is just changing year by year, in year out, year in year out. Very soon now we'll be having two Grand Prix now on a weekend. Now they will say, oh, pre Grand Prix and post Grand Prix. I don't know what they want to do, but I feel at the end of the day it's getting too much, but at the end of the day, that's just my opinion. But yeah, sorry, read
Yeah.
one. Okay, Mali, go ahead and read one, please.
Yeah, what I just wanted to say about the sprint is think I agree with most of the people who have said humans are generally averse to change. But for example, look at the safest systems in the world right now, nothing has actually been established without some tinkering here and there over the years. I think we also forget that at some point qualifying was on Sunday morning years ago. So um, if they don't experiment with some of all these formats here and there and ultimately make the best, or quote unquote the best or the better decision for them, we might never be able to get the excitement they want. I think all this is just a way to avoid the main issue of the cars are not closer in racing. Last season, at least last season, when the new rules came out, the cars were closer. It was easy to follow, and it was at least drivers testified to that. But some the grids and the entire Formula One fan base favorite team principal complained, and there was so much acting and so much noise about some certain things that happened, and that forced the FIA to sort of increase the ground clearance, and that has been rumored to be what has affected, which has added much more downforce to the cars, and that has been what has affected the cars, and it is difficult to follow. So if they can ultimately solve that problem, then all this sprint formatting, all this talk here and there we're complaining about might not surface. The only reason why everyone is all up in arms today is because quote and unquote Red Bull was ahead. I am not a Red Bull fan again. I just need to impute that there. But if it was another team, let's even say Ferrari, let's even say McLaren was ahead, was dominating ahead, and the race was still this way, people would not complain so much about it. Yes, the race was boring. I agree with everyone who has said that the race was boring today. But the truth about it is, if they don't, my own point is, and that's why I'm allowing this thing to play, if they don't tinker with some of all these formats here and there. Last season, when the sprints came out, people complained that, the sprint result should not determine the Grand Prix starting position. And then they switched that, and here we are again saying, "Oh, don't make the sprint an independent event." So what do you want them to do? I believe the next things people should start saying is, "These are my suggestions for the sprint." Let's even start with that. Let's hear people's opinions on that. Yeah, thank you.
Read one, please.
Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. So, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Hello? Okay, so let me, for I've listened to many things, like many things. Yeah, I won't go back to some, but I will just touch on some. So, today, the race was quite interesting to me because my team dominated the race, so I'm happy about the race. Checo marks the 1-2 for Red Bull, and also maximum points for the weekend, except from 1 point. So that's great for us. also. So throughout the weekend, it has been, yeah, like Red Bull did well this weekend because sprint weekend Red Bull has not defined it hard, like they find it hard to set up their car, but I think this weekend they did well also. They were able to set up their car with just one free practice, and I think it went well also. So for the sprint format, me, I'm quite different from what everyone has been saying. I like the sprint format. One free practice, I like it because when that news came out, it's like when I actually wanted maybe they should just give it something like 1 hour and 30 minutes, but all the teams agreed to an hour. So it's not like you did not push it out to the teams, or like as was said, as was reported, that all the teams like agreed to an hour. So I think as long as the team has agreed to it, we just have to live with it. We are the one following them. We are the fans, so they are the one making the decisions. So that's just it. And for the sprint qualifying, the normal qualifying, I think it's quite great, and that the sprint cannot affect the like the normal race weekend, like the normal race. Maybe if you have, it's just like, for instance, Brazil 2021, Lewis was disqualified 20th, 20th. He finished fifth. He finished fifth in that race and was dropped back to 10th. The sprint really helped him during the race for him to start from 10th in Brazil 2021. But if it was like during the sprint, someone qualified first, and what's the name? And maybe he had an engine problem or something like that, an issue, and the DNF. He will actually start the race 20th. That's just it. It is just there's advantage for it and there's disadvantage for it. But right now that the sprint is different, like the sprint qualifying is different from the normal race, I think that's good for me personally. That's good. So I really like it like that. So for the sprint, I'm still a massive fan of the sprint. It's just that there are some tracks that the sprint should not, like some tracks. Example, like Baku, for instance. Maybe they should have just like give it some sprint tracks. For me, sprint tracks are not a kind of a track that you can actually just start pushing anyhow. Maybe if it's like somewhere like Red Bull Ring, Monster, all those kind of tracks whereby you can push to the limit that you know that there is not like there's a wall beside me or something like that. That you can push very well. All these traditional tracks and all these normal tracks, yeah. So all those kind of tracks, I think those are the places. But likes of Baku, I haven't forgotten where we are going to. I think Baku, like Spa, also. Spa is just too long. So the sprint, I wonder how many laps the sprint will be. So let's just see. But to be honest, it's just a new thing because everything like they are still experience like it's just a new thing that they're just coming out with. So I'm feel like let's just wait and see how it will go. For the cost cap also, when the cost cap was introduced, people complained rather. When the ground effect rules was introduced, people complain. When any new thing that comes up in Formula One, I've noticed in Formula One or even anywhere, people will actually complain about it. So let's just give it time for it. Let's see what will happen. So that's about the sprint also. So for Ferrari, I think their qualifying is just still the same thing as last year for me. Just still the same thing as last year. They have a very good qualifying car on one lap pace, but during the race, within 5 laps, 6 laps, they are done. So you don't have like that race pace in their car is not that great. So about Leclerc as outstanding as he was able to pull through and was able to do well. So congratulations to him. So for Aston Martin, I think they did a very good job based on they are not even a top team. They are just coming to be among the best. So for them to be able, like, with just one free practice, to be able to get their setup, all those things that they are able to do well this weekend. And for Mercedes, I don't know their problem, to be honest. I'm not sure what's going wrong with them. They just don't have the pace for the, like, they just don't have the pace of the front runners, like Red Bull and Ferrari. Race pace, race pace wise, fine, they are matching the Ferraris, but qualifying pace is, they are still lacking. They are lacking something. To be honest, they are lacking something. I just feel like they're lacking. So maybe it's because of the setup, or maybe because of maybe the setup affected them this weekend. I just feel like they are lacking something because when Hamilton was even closer to Sainz, was not able to overtake Sainz, even very close with DRS, was not able to overtake. And maybe it's due to these new regulations that they bring this year, because last year people were appear like uh, drivers were able to overtake, to get close to each other, and they were able to overtake. But I think due to the new regulations, that some teams fought for, and it affected some. So I think that's what is going on there. And for Alpha Tauri, so I will still say it. I will still give Nick the Vries till summer break. That's it. He's still a rookie. I like everything that he said before the season, before he started the season. That is just maybe his own mentality to just know that yes, I'm here to do something, but right now he's not doing anything. So I'm still giving him to summer break. I think Yuki has matured a lot. He has matured. Today's race was fantastic. I think he did well also. And for McLaren, I think they are. I think they said they still bring more upgrades. I can't wait to see the upgrades. I think the upgrades are working. They are working. And for Alpine, those ones, they are still even better. They are better than Alfa Romeo. Those ones, I don't even know what's going on with them this season at all. To be honest, this season Alfa Romeo is just, they are, those guys, when they launched their car, everyone was saying that yes, fine, they have a very strong, they have a very strong car this year, and it's not like they just reduced like from last year. Like last year, they were like even the beginning of the season, they were doing well. Beginning of this season, they are not just doing well at all. And for me, as long as you can always blame the drivers for not doing well. But even if the car is not even good, the car is not good. Like why is Bottas just pitting every time? I don't understand what is going on in that place. Bottas is just pitting every time. I'm pretty I'm pretty sure he used all the tires twice this weekend. So I don't understand. I was able to pit to go back out to pit again. I don't even know for them. So and Joe also retired from the race. So like I don't just get it from them. And us is just the us. Williams, they're like their car is track specific, so I won't blame her like. And I think today also maybe they did not, maybe they also got it wrong for the race. So I think today's race for me, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it, and Red Bull is leading. So that's everything I'm concerned about. So thank you.
Thank you very much,
So why
Ridwan.
didn't you enjoy it when your team won?
Abi, he
As long
enjoys
as my
everything.
as long as my team is winning, and until the penalty kicks in, we are waiting to them. As of now, we enjoy.
Okay. Okay. As I read one, I'll course quickly, just very quickly. In terms of today's win for the team, how do you see it? Your team.
Oh, like I know you. What do you say? Please,
In
please.
terms of the who took the win for the team, how do you see it? What's your take on that?
Uh, for me, I'm happy with anyone that wins today. So like even because even if it like it has happened before at Jeddah, whereby the safety car calls Checo the win. Today also the safety car calls Max the win. So I'm happy for anyone that wins as long as there's no bad blood between both drivers. So I'm happy for anyone that wins. So that's the thing.
Thank
I'm
you
a
very
team.
much. Thank you very much, Freedom. Okay, let's have Miss Catrock, then we'll have Mo, then Olabode. Thank you, guys. Then Silva.
I think the sprint race it's dependent on tracks. So like tracks like this one where there's a lot of incidences of red flags and chances of people crashing or hitting a wall because of the fact that it's a street circuit. I think that it doesn't affect the bigger teams so much as the smaller teams who don't even reach their cost cap money. Because when you hit your car and you don't have the resources to quickly pull it together, or you hit multiple times and then you might be out of the race because of that, or I think that that's something that they have to look into. Secondly, with regards to Red Bull, they were saying on Sky Sports that if Checo comes second in Miami, that he actually passes Max on points, which would be very interesting. And lastly, I just want to say that Lewis did quite good today, considering he got screwed over a little bit by the safety car, and he ended up coming back through the pack to get back almost to his original position. And I see that that's been glossed over in the media quite a lot, but to be able to get back, you're I mean, he went down to about 10th, so I think he did really good considering what he's driving. So
Thank you very much, Miss Catrock. Where do we finishing? P6, I believe. Yeah.
yeah, P6.
Yeah. Kind of impressive. Okay, let's have Mo.
Okay, so yeah, I'll start from the sprint race and the format of the weekend. I think I like the format of the weekend where there's cost and expenses. If the teams value their people, they should give them an additional fee to cover for this. But also, I think the F1 and the sport and Liberty Media should know that this has brought more content, more conversation towards their sport. And that's what they're trying to achieve. So ultimately, this shouldn't be one of the things that is in the cost cap, or they should give budgets for the days that the sprints that are going to happen, so that they compensate the engineers for a bit more time. The only changes that I see are practice. Let practice be longer than what is currently there, because we saw the red flag, and I think they ended up having about probably just 4 to 5 runs for the long run. So the practice was really poor. It was too short, and so many people got challenges because of that. But otherwise, I think come Friday, I mean, hit the ground running. I think it's perfect. The sprint formula for qualification was very interesting on my end, and the sprint really lets everyone play their cards. So you really know what to expect, and you know who you're going to fight the next day. So people always fight change. It's not new. So I expect that people will be wondering, how about the human resource? How about the time? But I mean, the sport is growing to what, 25 races? Probably they should cut those back and increase the track action by the sprints. I saw the drivers also complained. I saw Max was not happy with it. I think also, I think the Williams team, because they said, well, we still can't get into top 10. Yeah, well, that has nothing to do with the format of the racing. It has everything to do with your development, your car quality, your strategy, your ability to prepare the best car to present within a given year. And I don't know, anyway, for me, that's what I think about it. And then the other one is Max Verstappen. I don't understand how he's allowed to gloss over his behavior. I really don't understand it. I thought the issue with George was very, very minor, and on top of that was exactly who he is. But I guess what they say is true. What you do, you don't want others to do to you. So he got caught napping, or he got caught. He got Verstappen, and he got so angry. That's ridiculous. Then the other is which one is it? I think today's race. I thought also today's race. I thought Hamilton did a good recovery, but as always, the expectations from Lewis exceed his car. He's not allowed to fall asleep. He's not allowed to be sick. He's not allowed to have a bad day, and he's somehow expected to always be fast or on the podium. So the fact that the grid generally and the public has that expectation shows that he always is that guy where the hope is. And I think he did well. Just to supplement what Catrox did, the expectations from him are impossible. I mean, for even a human being, they're impossible to meet. Even when Mercedes is the worst on straight line speed, someone will say, but he's the GOAT. Come. So, yes, that's why he's the GOAT, because he can pull out, he can manage to park Stroll, who is probably another 6Ks faster than him, and he's able to, and he's able to keep Perez and Sainz and the rest of them behind on a very good day, and he's able to defend Alonso at the start. So that's why he's the GOAT again. And then the last one, not to take any more time, is about Honor. I mean, the whole Red Bull people, I think they are some kind of racket. I don't know where they got them from. Everybody there seems to have the same DNA. And I really hope that the rest of the teams can just come with that as well. Alpine seems to be the most lost team on the grid. Nick De Vries is on fraud watch. He is who says here that he's a rookie? Piastri and Sargent are more rookies than De Vries. De Vries literally drove every car last year. He's had an opportunity to race in Formula E, and he knows what a championship is about. He cannot be handling Alpha Tauri this way and costing them the most. Actually, at this point, Mick was better, seems like a better option than De Vries. So De Vries, if he's not careful, the Liam Lawson guy is coming from Formula 2, and his contract will be done. That's about it. He needs to do better.
Thank you very much, Mo. I think with Nick, if he's not careful, they will just give him notice period.
I think he's gonna
But
be a one season driver.
well, what did you think he's going to have for multiple years? It's just here for a few months. Don't worry, it's not going to be here any longer. Anyway, let me. If you want me, I can read Nick's statement. So he said the accident today was fully my mistake. It was very silly and unnecessary, and that responsibility is on me. Sorry, let me stop there. Are you people hearing all this big grammar? It was very silly and unnecessary, and that responsibility is on me. Only one person in one sentence. I am disappointed with myself, but that's the way it is. There are positives to take away from the weekend, and I'll try to look at them. Me, I did not see you other than the war white. I am happy to be racing again next week, so I forget this weekend as soon as possible. Don't forget it. The people that pay your salary are not forgetting. But yeah, Olabode, please go ahead. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. First off, I want to say that I'd seen a tweet, I think sometime last month, from a Formula E driver that said that any motorsport driver would do well if they go into a Formula One car, they just need an opportunity. And I replied that statement and said, well, we have Nick De Vries, who is a former Formula E champion in Formula One now, and it will be a good yardstick to check. It's funny that everyone thinks the Formula One car is what anybody can drive. it's not what anybody can drive. And I think Nick DeVries is starting to realize that, especially when you're having to do it weekend in, weekend out. And Nick is getting, I mean, he came in with a lot of prospects, so I'm not surprised when people go at him. But I still think that he still deserves to get the whole of the season to show his hand at least. Maybe still get from that. If you remember Pierre Gasly in Red Bull, and then Pierre Gasly in AlphaTauri? Yeah, AlphaTauri. He was so bad that Pierre was crashing in Barcelona prison test practice. So I would say maybe Nick should take the whole season. Let's not shoot him down yet. Let's give him that time. That's talk about Nick as well. Then it's also interesting that every time I listen in on this space, you can easily pick out the Mercedes fans. It's so easy. And it's beautiful, to be honest, that you guys are so passionate about your team. I'm going to give that to you people. But and it's also beautiful that I don't know how long we've been watching football. I don't know how long everyone has done, but it's also beautiful that we come here and Lewis is 7-time world champion, whether we like it or not. And we expect that if you did that, whatever you did, we don't expect him to replicate what he did in the W, whatever that he won with. But I mean, something close. And is also questionable when someone like George is putting up times in the same car. I mean, there was the excuse that I was wondering the testing for the team last season. But then there was something Karen Champdon had stated last season, I think. He had mentioned and he said Russell might have been outperforming. I don't know if it was Chandler that said it, but somebody had said last season that the reason why George Russell might have been outperforming Lewis, if he was, I mean, stats compared, would be because George is more familiar with a struggling car coming from Williams than Lewis is in a Mercedes that has been a winning car. So there's that much. But I think if you look at what Tsunoda is doing with the AlphaTauri is probably at best, the ninth best car on the grid. And Tsunoda has been punching in 11th back to back and then maybe 10th. I think 10th this weekend as well, sometime this weekend. That is him extracting more than the car can give every weekend. And I think that's what's expected from Lewis. It's not because anybody's giving him, I don't think anyone is giving him unachievable goals or benchmarks. I just think that based on his experience and what he has done, people assume that he should be able to put all of that together, he should think all of that together and achieve more from the car. So I still expect that from him as well as a Formula One fan. So that much. Again, yes, this point race. While we might say this is classical Max Verstappen before he became a champion, I also have that issue as well. I think I also noticed that. So personally, if somebody did something in the past and we give them a stick for doing that, and then we call them out and yada, and then this person suddenly changes, or this person works on themselves to get better, and then somebody does the exact same thing, and then the person says, "Oh, why would you do that?" And then we say, "Oh, why would you complain? I mean, that's what you were doing." Then we have not moved forward from what we complained about the last time. It is okay for someone else to do it just because this same person did it before. And whether I like it or not, George's, I don't think it was intentional, but George's, what happened between George and Max hampered his race a lot because that meant that he had a huge hole, fist-sized hole on the side of his car that was affecting air movement, his aerodynamics, and which if you saw in the race, you would literally see him pulling back from Charles every now and then, lap by lap, corner by corner, and that part is the race, which I think is a fair reason to speak up. I don't know that he should have approached, and I don't even think when he approached. I mean, I saw the video of him approaching George, and George made statements and shocked them up. If you didn't see the go and see, shocked them up, and then Max laughed, and I can't remember. I remember the statement he made, but there's no need for that. So yeah, I don't think we should suddenly make judges, and somebody had said on this space yesterday, which I listened and said it was unnecessary from George, it was not needed. And yes, that's what it is. So it does not take away just because Max used to be a torpedo like what's his guy, Danny Kiviat, doesn't mean that that changes the fact that George was in the wrong and that Max can't talk about it. There's that much. Then also I wanted to speak on the sprint, the new weekend format for the sprint. If you compare the classifications, the final classifications for the drivers yesterday and the final classifications for drivers today, you would see teams like William, someone like Albon taking a point. Okay, finishing ninth, not taking a point, but finishing ninth. And today in the race, finishing lower, someone like Norris finishing 16th, and in the final race, finishing ninth. I think it's nice that teams can learn from actual racing rather than learning from just full practice three. I like sprint format. However, if you again, like I said, if you compare the final classification for drivers for sprint and for race, you can see that people made up. Someone like Norris made up today. Someone like Alonso made up today. While it might have been so, yeah. Let me stick with the sprint first. So I think that in itself, I think the sprint format is good. The fact that there are a lot of unknowns and people having to learn under competitive conditions makes things a lot more interesting. I mean, everyone knew from yesterday that under competitive conditions as well, that the stuff was a no-no for Azerbaijan. And nobody was going to dare, except, of course, George was going for the fastest lap at the end of the final lap. Yeah, so that much. I just think that the Park Femi rule needs to be relaxed a bit. You can't do anything on the car. You can't get it. I think in order to make this sprint more interesting, the Park Femi rule should be relaxed a bit, and maybe just maybe in a cost cap regime, damages that are done on sprint days should be excluded from the cost cap. I think because I mean I would assume that the cost cap was done not with the intention of this amount of sprint races in mind and possible of carnage. If you have carnage Saturday and Sunday, that's extra cost for you. So I think Park Femi and adjusting the cost cap not to include damages done on sprint days. Yeah. As for the race day, it was interesting. And it was interesting because people Mercedes-Benz fans to say it was not interesting. I understand why. Yeah, I get why you're saying. I mean, and everyone who I said is not interesting today, from what I hear, mostly Mercedes-Benz, I'm not sure. Because I keep checking everybody's feed. I'm like, okay, Mercedes-Benz. But like, there was the uncertainty of what could happen between Max and Checo in front. There was also the fight going on at the back with Gasly and them other guys. There was Norris also making places. There was Hamilton pulling up nice takeovers. There was Alonso and whatnot. So the two bulls might have been up ahead doing their own thing. But there was also the knowing that Max does not like to lose. That uncertainty kept Red Bull fans on the edge. They might have what now, they're chilled now, yeah. But I think that might have kept them on the edge for a bit. If Max was a lot faster, and I think if Max was in like pulling away 3 seconds, I think he had a problem with his brake balance or something like that, and was being careful. I mean, there was no need to take risks. So I think even not for that, I think it would have been an interesting one up front. But for the rest of the field, there was a lot of action going on at the back. Shitload of action was going on at the back. So I think it was a good race. It was interesting. Also, the fact that seeing people make up places rather, from yesterday and people losing places from yesterday. Again, noteworthy. Aston Martin learned that their DRS was bad in the sprint race, and that affected them. They would have just found out that probably in field practice, and they would have not had anything to pay for it, I think. But finding out in the sprint race where under competitive competitions made it more interesting. And then that means that they knew that they had the work cut out for today, which we evidently saw from the way Alonso finished or where from Alonso finished. So yeah, all in all, I think it was a good weekend, and the landings were up there as well. Yesterday was a good show, if you ask me. Today wasn't bad at all as well. I mean, if we call today boring, we've been watching Monaco for how long? Everyone just watches, and except of course when the Leclerc crashes. But Also, yeah, Ferrari. Just what's his name? Charles Leclerc this weekend. Oh, not yesterday alone. Charles Leclerc won more points than I'd ever won the entire season over 4 races just yesterday, And today he came third as well. I mean, made up points as well. So for Ferrari as well, was a good weekend. Sprint weekend, fantastic. So teams know what they stand to gain if they have a good car, if they come with good upgrades, development and whatnot. The Met boys might not be happy with it because I mean even what I'm talking about Met, Hamilton enjoyed because even Hamilton in his post race interview said he knows where the error is from the sprint race, he learned from it and he knows what to do tomorrow, which is today. And we evidently saw that in his race. If not because if not for what is up, I think something happened somewhere in between this. I can't remember for sure now. But we could see Hamilton, yeah, we could see Hamilton literally leading up to that statement saying, I know where the error is coming from and I know where I need to improve for the race day, which we saw. So I think teams are happy to a large extent. Full practice, they would have to still test out, I think, have to test out various variables to see what eventually works. But I think they're in good, I think they're on a good trajectory. I was against canceling full practice before because I think Dominicali was Stefano was all about entertainment and money and whatnot. But looking at the outcome and making so bad, yeah, that's me basically.
So
Thank you.
I can argue that everything that people learned during the sprint race they could have learned, in free practice. But okay, I mean, I'm all for.
Enabang, do you want to come closer to the mic, please? It's a bit far.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I was saying that I can argue that everything people learned in sprint they still would have learned, in free practice. But okay, I mean I'm pro sprint race, so that doesn't matter. But what I wanted to say is I know from the Olabode conversation that he's a Red Bull fan, which is funny because he started he part of his conversation he went, you can always know when Mercedes fans are speaking. I can say the same for you, right?
Can I say something quickly? Just let me answer that. I'm not a Red Bull fan. I
Go
would
ahead.
say I would say I'm a Vettel fan rather. I'm a Vettel fan. Right now I just watch and if you check my tweets, I'm rooting
Alani,
for
your
George.
boy is here. Oh.
From your tweet response to me in the past, I know that
So
you're
my
a Red Bull fan.
record
Okay,
no,
it's
so I'm
fine.
not a
It's
Red
fine.
Bull
It's
fan.
fine. It's
You
fine.
can so let me just say that I'm a Vettel fan. I'm a big Vettel fan. As I was
Okay,
not Vettel,
that's all right.
I'm rooting
That's all
for
right.
Vettel, I'm rooting for Norris, and I'm rooting for Piastri and Sargent.
Okay,
My
okay,
tweets, I had that in my tweets from the beginning of the season, so I'm not a Red Bull fan for what it's worth.
yeah, that's fine. I mean, I was just wondering what that meaning. There's a conversation where you just found a way to put Lewis in there, and about George, being something. I think you were throwing a line of Lewis is not where you're trying to maybe say that
Okay,
Lewis
so
was not.
I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. I was
Yeah.
addressing
Please,
a
wait,
statement.
wait. Let's see her finish, please. Let's allow her finish her.
Yeah, so you were trying to imply, and I'm cautious. I'm saying this cautiously. You were trying to imply that, expectation is high from Lewis. George is because George is handling the car more than him, and then went on to say what I thought was maybe like a careless statement about George being able to handle a struggling car. Implying that Lewis has always driven, good cars and, anyway, I'm not even going to, but I just felt that conversation was unnecessary because you began by saying you can always know Red Bull, you can always know Mercedes fans when conversations come up. It's funny because you can always, when a Mercedes fan speaks, you can know, and then you now find a way to chip in the risk, very unnecessary to chip in there. I didn't see the need for it. But, so it's funny to me that you had that mini conversation where you were trying to imply that George was outperforming Lewis, which is debatable, right? But kind of saying that Lewis has always driven good cars. But okay, let's not start World War III here. I'll let it slide, but it was very unnecessary. Yeah, so I know you're a Verstappen sympathizer, that's okay. But you don't need to drag us into your conversation. That's all I'm saying.
Can I speak?
Uh,
Yeah, go ahead, but
Okay, so first off, the Russell statement I had made about him coming from William was something I literally referenced somebody saying that last season. And it was in line with a statement that Mo had made while she was talking about people having unreasonable expectations for Lewis. And that was what led to that statement. It was not that. I just started with that because I wanted to just string that to more being more than more. I just finished talking, and I wanted to just respond to that, which is why I made that statement. It had nothing to do with anything. Yeah, but no, I'm not a Rebel fan. I mean, Max is on top. Whether I don't want. There's no reason why I'm wishing Jeopardy on him. He's on top. Why not? If he has a bad race, he has a bad race. But there's no reason why I'm wishing Jeopardy on him. But then again, mm, yeah,
No, it's cool. I mean, it's fine. I just, let's point that out. I just wasn't necessary, but it's okay.
All about the me, I don't know which one you are doing. Or you are saying yeah, Max is on top, but yeah,
No one
yeah.
saying his full chest.
But if the guy is on top, why should I wish him evil?
no,
I want.
nobody is talking about wishing him any form of whatever. But if it's we all encourage every form of fans, So if it's not just, well, I don't think it's not only Mercedes fans that are here. So a Red Bull
Oh,
fan, they are all here too as well. So
yeah, I know, but still, I'm not a Rebel fan. I say
okay,
that categorically.
no
Yeah,
problem.
categorically.
Okay, okay, Silva, please go ahead. Thank you for waiting.
Good afternoon, everybody. Um, I think mostly everybody has said, people who have spoken have said almost everything. Yeah, but to start with, what Olabode said with respect to um, Max getting a lot of antagonism for, you know, yesterday's contact with Russell. I would say the reason why he's having that much or this much antagonism is because, unlike most people, he never apologizes for his actions. He feels he has a right, you know, to 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 be given space, but doesn't want to give people space. He has a right to torpedo people, and that's it. When he does it, to him, it's racing, it's hard racing. But yesterday, it was done to him, and he felt, no, this is not hard racing. This is not how you race, because quote and unquote, he's maturing. But then again, the fact that you're maturing doesn't change the precedents you set in the past. We've had Vettel, we've had Hamilton crash into people, but the thing is, the grace in which you do it is what matters. For Max Verstappen, he has that his precedence, his actions precedes him, so to speak. He's already set that standard that, it's racing, it happens, so get it over with, or you don't have to cry about it. But yesterday he was crying about it, and which was why people are still, giving him that kind of response. And I don't mind. He deserves it 1,000,000%. To be honest, he deserves everything he gets from all that happened yesterday, because it's the same Max Verstappen that in fact, if we could get a penny for every time he crashed into Lewis, we'll all be richer than Elon Musk. And there he is yesterday saying all he's saying. I know. But then that's just, by the way, that's Max and his antics. You get what you give. It's karma for him. Then coming to the sprint race and the free practice over the weekend. Yeah, I think I like the format. Anything that gives us an extra entertainment. Even if they want to start the weekend on a Thursday, I'm up for it. At least I know I have things to look forward to from Thursday till Sunday in F1. So the sprint is a welcome idea. I think for the sprint, it makes it uncertain for people to know what their cars are capable. It's not like they don't know what their cars are capable of, but for each track, without you doing enough practice, you're not able to, come up with the right settings and setups for your car. But when you go on the sprint, you, like Lewis was said, you find out the mistakes you made, and then you can correct them in the race proper. The only thing I would like to happen or to be done in the sprint is that if they can give people more points, it will give them more incentive to push their cars better. Because to some people, they might feel like, oh, the points are not just much for me to push my car and to maybe probably crash my car at the end of the day. They just want to find the right setup for the car during the sprint. They don't really care where they finish on the sprint grid, because it doesn't affect your grade for Sunday at the end of the day, you know. And then again, I think with respect to the amount of sprints that are happening now, I think if it has not been affected, but there will be an extra component for each unit in the car, the ICs, the turbochargers, and all. And I think that is fair enough, you know, for unforeseen circumstances, for people that will have to crash or have engine problems during all these extra sprints and all. Then I think for the race, kudos to Perez. He's the king of street circuits. You know, he's shown it time and time again that when it comes to street circuits, he's the king. And yes, in as much as he got that stroke of luck with the safety car where Verstappen had to come in, you know, and he mistimed his pit stop and all. But then again, in Formula One, there is a stroke of luck for you to still win, irrespective and all. I think Ferrari today, they improved from the last 3 races. The fact that Mercedes could not, well, maybe if it wasn't a Baku track, I believe Hamilton would have overtaken Sainz. Yeah, but you're dealing with a track that is almost synonymous to Monaco, where you have less overtaking straights in it and all, you know. But then again, it was quite an interesting race. Seeing Hamilton come from, I think, 11th, come from 11th after that safety car issue and go back to 6th was really impressive to see. You know, it's in as much as we are not on the podium, but being able to fight cars wheel to wheel, you know, do the overtakes is what makes you an F1, is what we want to see as F1 fans and all. And it was lovely seeing him do that here. And speaking about George and Hamilton, to be honest, I don't think there's any need to be putting George and Hamilton in the same statement, on the same pedestal. They are worlds apart. To be honest, the only driver or the only teammate who has come close to, or who has ever beaten Hamilton, is Nico Rosberg. That is the only teammate who has, you know, brought his A game in equal machinery to Hamilton. It's just unfortunate what is going on now, and you know, you're looking at a 7-time world champion, and people are just talking down on him. Sometimes I just ask myself, what is the problem? The other day, some people tweeted, that Hamilton should retire, and I asked myself, how old is Alonso? How many times have they said Alonso should retire? Alonso and Hamilton, who is older, who has spent more time in Formula One, but they keep hammering on Hamilton. Anything Hamilton does is an issue. You know, the hate is just too much. It's too much. And as a Mercedes fan, sometimes I just wish we can just put off Twitter for a bit, let people rest. You know. But all in all, the race was quite interesting. It was really, really interesting. I look forward to Miami. I know it's another street circuit. I don't know what Perez has up his sleeve again. He might or he might not. But let's see what Miami brings. And hopefully in Imola, with the upgrades that Mercedes are touting to bring up, it brings us much more closer to Red Bull. Yeah, I yield.
I'm so sorry, admin. I just wanted to say quickly that. So I actually think that if we were not in Baku, the Mercedes would have outperformed the Ferrari. So tire deg was high in Baku. I mean, you could see it is also one of the reasons why Verstappen could not get as close to Perez, you know, as he would have liked to overtake Perez, you know, in the end. Tire deg was really high. That's why Lewis couldn't, you know, pass Sainz, even though he was, you know, within 1 second or 0.5, even 0.2, most of the time. So that tire deck was really high. I think if we were in a different circuit, I think that the Mercedes would have outperformed the Ferrari. So I know that the Ferrari seemed like the hard pace, this weekend, but I still think it's the single lap is the and tires were overheating too. So I still think it's a single lap pace that Ferrari has shown, the entire season. So I still think that the Mercedes may still have an advantage over the Ferrari. I may not be the case that Ferrari is faster.
Thank you very much, Enobang. Silva, yeah, you said something that I personally have been wanting to speak about it, but I've just missed it all weekend. So, this weekend, coming into this weekend, they said, oh, it's no longer going to be three,
Yeah,
um,
three components before you get a penalty.
components. It's now, yeah, because of this new format, it's now going to be
Yeah.
four. And then, as we all know, some people have taken penalty already. You understand? So what, or rather, why is this being introduced in race 4? Why was it not done in race before race 1, or at least after testing? Then you make the announcements. Like, sometimes I don't understand this FIA of an organization. Today now they are investigating themselves. Oh, FIA representatives should report to FIA stewards. What's going on? But okay, no problem. Let's carry on. Yoda, please go ahead.
Sorry.
Oh, sorry, boss. Go ahead,
Yeah, was
man.
it not in
Oh,
the
should I? Okay,
didn't they
I'll
add the
wait.
additional?
No, sorry. I'm letting Made say what he wants to say. Yoda, sorry about that.
Now I was just trying to clarify. Didn't they add the additional components because of the 6 sprint races? Was that not their reason, or was there any other? Did they give any different reason from that?
Well, I believe it's because of this new format. Because
Well,
the 6 sprint races were announced at the beginning of the season, so you could have introduced the four components, but I believe it's just because of this new format. Um hence why they introduced it, or rather they said it this week. But yeah, that's just my assumption. Yoda, please go ahead.
Okay, today I'm just here to spew agenda. But before we get there, let's quickly speak about the race. And I'll start with the sprint race. Personally, I like the one lap shootout, but unfortunately, the sprint is boring. And most people like a qualifying to be on Saturday. So for me, it's like, okay, why don't we do the shootout and then do the sprint race on whatever day, maybe after qualifying or something, maybe after practice rather or something, and then Saturday still happens to be the actual qualifying for the grid. I don't know, and also because of the way the sprint race is so boring, I know people don't like reverse grids in F1, but that's the only way sprint race will be interesting. One lap shootout is good, but then unfortunately, the sprint race is always dead. One driver was saying, "Oh, only the top 4 teams get points." That's the truth. Even if most of the other teams get points, it's still going to be boring, except it's a reverse grid. Secondly, someone said Russell and Hamilton should not be spoken about in the same sentence. Look, I think Hamilton is the GOAT. But if we've been watching this guy's career, he's probably the best driver on the grid, most complete. I'm not talking about qualifying separately or race. I'm talking about both of them. Russell has that dog in him. I'll keep saying it till the day he has the car to fight any other person like Verstappen. He will show it. Even in less machinery, he's been showing it. There's no driver today in the bottom 5 teams. Russell was in literally what? Williams, P9, P10 team. He was getting into Q2, getting into Q3, getting second position on the grid in a Williams, just in qualifying, not to even talk of his race pace. There's no other driver that can do that. Like all of us here probably rate Piastri highly for what he's done in his junior career. But unfortunately, Piastri is not doing that with the McLaren. Okay, it's just 4 races in. But Russell has been on game. Mental wise, the guy's head is robust. He's thinking of his own strategy while he's racing. So I get it. Like, I know how great Hamilton is. I support Hamilton, but we just have to be realistic and say, yes, Russell is also that guy. It's racing. It happens. I'm back to my agenda.
Max is a funny guy, man. There's nothing else to say. I used to be a Max supporter, but like that's the thing. He always talks stupid most of the time. So I'm not even going to speak too much on that. I just personally think he should be more introspective. And I'm happy for Perez, man. But the truth is, I hope he keeps the form. This same thing happened last season as well. He started off good, but once Verstappen went, he just went off. Is there anything else to say about the race? Race was okay. I liked what Hamilton did, even if his strategy fucked him up. Um, Also, Nick De Vries. Okay, now let's see a few more races. Me, I'm calling bullshit on the guy for now. Sha. I was one of the people hyped about him, but unfortunately, he has not delivered for absolutely jack shit. Who else is there to watch? I like to know that race. I fucked with that. Hulkenberg. Hulkenberg is really dogging Magnussen. I don't think anybody is talking about that. Hulkenberg was out for good 2 seasons, and he came back and he's dogging Magnussen in a car he didn't even help develop. Let's just watch out on that. I hope I don't forget anything. Someone was saying yes, that's why I came into Spear Agenda. Someone said they're a Vettel supporter. My brother, I'll let you, support who you want to support, but forget. If they go from Hamilton, Alonso, then Vettel. Vettel had the best car 4 years. He won the championship. When he went to Ferrari, what happened? Dogged. Leclerc came to Ferrari after 1 year in F1. Got dogged. Man, so I rate Vettel too, but Vettel is just a step below that top of the top. He's in the top of the top, but he's just still a step below. I see Alonso higher, even with Alonso having just 2 championships. What he's done with the car outside those championships, you can't beat it. But that's my opinion, man. Admin, thank you.
Thank you very much, Amin. Emma, did you want to say anything quickly?
No, I don't. I don't get strength argue.
No problem. Regis, please go ahead.
Nice one. I agree with Yoda on one thing, and I disagree on the other. The first one I agree with is the fact that you see George Russell. Everybody, you guys, people sleeping on that guy. Anybody that is sleeping on George, let Mercedes let them get the car. Then I'm very sure they'll be in a very tight situation on how are they going to favor or who is the driver who is going to be number one. George is that guy. Maybe he hasn't shown enough, but he will come good. Max Verstappen called him a princess on Dutch whatever. This is the reason why I don't even understand how Max. I don't know this guy. This guy. Then what's his name? Sebastian Vettel and Alonso. Now I just feel like because Vettel done his thing when he was young, he probably like maybe he had burnout early. So um I feel like maybe he's still ahead of Alonso just by a little bit. Just by a little bit. So we'll give it to him. But I have an agenda. Normally, I always have one. So everybody's saying it's the safety car that has made my man win this race. I mean Checo Perez. I don't know if anybody can remember or during that race, Checo was literally on Max's whatever, like he was within 1 second of Max Verstappen throughout that whatever was it 3 or 2 laps that he was behind Max before the safety car. So what I'm saying is this race would have been Checo's own with from the team to say, Checo, don't do this or don't do that. At the end of the day, if Checo wins in Miami, Imade, this one is for you. If Checo wins in Miami, we are going to see it clearly, that Red Bull are carrying Max Verstappen like an egg. And we will hear and see Checo, do not fight Max. Checo, let Max through. Because you do not want to jeopardize your chances of winning the championship by having two drivers in competition. My point is today, Checo was on it, and it wasn't just the safety car that gave him this victory. Thank you. I yield the mic.
Wait, but nobody's who is saying safety car gave him the victory or anything. Like these things happen. This is part. Those are the perks of racing. you can be caught out with safety car, you can be caught out with red flag, yellow flag. It has happened multiple
Okay.
times. Abasia, can I give an example of Saudi? Was it 2021 or 2022? And Checo was one caught out at that particular time.
Yeah, I'm just
So,
saying
well,
it
I
for
know you
everybody.
already said it's an agenda. So,
Everybody that is saying that without the safety car, Checo wouldn't have won. Checo was literally 1 second behind Verstappen. Verstappen did not pull away from him, so he was on it. So it's going to happen. Everybody at Red Bull.
Regis, when we get to conventional tracks, let's see if Checo can still hold this stellar performance. That's all I would say.
I,
You're the one that said we should give your guy De Vries
the phrase is
10
the
races,
phrase
and
is a
he's a great guy.
is a mumu man. Is a mumu man.
Um, and Regis, I don't know why you are. I don't know why you are backsliding very quickly. But yeah, I still believe you should stand by a statement of 10 races. Hopefully, Nick will improve. But yeah, where were we?
I think we should go like, I don't know. We should go teams because
No.
Alpine, we've not gone down. Is it Alpine or Alpine?
Yeah.
All them teams that were just doing mumu things along this race track.
Yeah, let's just get into Alpine.
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 Is it
Yeah.
Alpine? Alpine sounds like Alkine, and I don't like chemistry. Chemistry mess. Is it chemistry? I be alkenes and alkyne. I know they like that thing. Let's call
Brother,
it Alpine.
brother is alkaline.
Uh,
So yeah. Okay, where were we? Alpine. Sorry, Adam.
yeah, I think for the today's win, Checo's win was made because of the mistake that was done to Max. Red Bull had enough time to react on the safety car.
Brother said it was a mistake. What mistake is that, brother?
I beg,
It
what mistake? I was about to ask
it was
too.
a mistake. There was enough time for them to. I'm sure Max by now he's even telling him that they made a mistake on that thing.
Brother, no mistake was
Verstappen
made.
that they gap with
Which
3 seconds.
mistake?
3 seconds gap. How
There
about?
was time for them to tell him to stay out. I was wondering,
Did
how
we
did
watch the
they
same race though?
even I'm not the only
Bro,
person who's
bro.
asking out. Was that really it was not Red Bull's nature to do that thing? And by the time this thing is going to be like Rosberg and Hamilton 2016, when they get at the end, Max is going to turn like they see now the Max now is like the calm Max. The guy is going to get back to be Mad Max. They know
Nah,
they know they
what I think what Red Bull was doing was they were trying to do the undercuts, right? Where you leave Perez out, you pit Verstappen comes out in front, right? And then eventually you have to pit Perez. What anybody did not anticipate was the safety car, right? So I don't know about mistake though, but I just wanted to point that
But,
out.
but, but
Also,
Max
sorry,
was
I know I'm
already
cutting into
ahead.
someone.
Max was actually ahead, so there was no need for an undercut.
I wasn't
I agree. I don't want to say it's a mistake. I think all I'll just say is they miscalculated.
yeah.
If they were gunning for Max's win, then they miscalculated. But I don't want to say it's a mistake. And I also think we should also give credit to Perez. He was on it this weekend,
Thank
and
you.
he
Yeah.
has always been
I give
really
credit to
good
him
on
for
street
trying
circuit.
to hold
So
back
let's give
Max, but
credit to Perez.
I give credit for
And my point is because of this, my brother that is speaking now, that I'm saying that Checo would have still probably overtaken
yeah,
Max on track.
I disagree to
Quote and
that. I
unquote.
disagree to that.
Quote me anywhere.
I disagree to that. He couldn't
Nah, to be honest, Perez was like what 0.6 behind him before that thing happened, and he
He
gave him
was
three
literally
seconds after.
on his rear window
There's
at
no
the
way we
rear
can say we
window.
disagree to that now. We also the race.
He couldn't pull away. Max couldn't pull away from Perez.
but I'm sure
Man,
today is
I don't.
maybe you go for the miscalculation, but I don't know what Red Bull did there. I'm
The only way
100%
Perez
against.
I think the lead car always gets the call, right? So the lead car being Max got the call first.
100%, and he
You know,
failed on
so
this occasion, right?
yes, it's the standard stuff. Like the lead car always get priority, and unfortunately, the safety car just appeared at the wrong time for
But
him.
hear me now, yeah. Hear me now. What I'm saying is, even with the lead car getting that no safety car, Checo would have still got like
I'm
Checo
not
would have
sure.
overtaken Max.
Yeah, I mean, he came close, but coming close is one thing, and in the same car, right? You need an extra
When you
speed.
have DRS, and we know the DRS
I
of
mean,
those Red Bulls
Lewis had DRS behind the Ferrari over and
on
over.
that Mercedes. Now we are talking Mercedes
I
here. We are
know.
talking Red Bull. Did you
No,
see?
no,
Did you
but no,
see?
but
Did you
no,
see
but
how
Wait,
Max? Did you
Red
see how
Bull,
Max
Red
overtook
Bull,
Charles? Do you see how
no,
Max
but
Yes,
no,
overtook
no, no,
Charles?
no. See,
obviously,
to be
Red
Red Bull.
Bull.
honest,
You can't
right? I
pick.
think
One
it's
mic,
different when
one
you're
half.
following
Oh
a
my
car,
god.
right? It's one thing to
Yeah,
be ahead, but it's different when
yes,
you're following. If Perez
exactly.
was following Verstappen, maybe, but that you can't say for sure because we've seen that
Yes,
it's difficult to overtake when you're following. And they're driving the
yes,
same car, right? So maybe he
exactly.
would have, but we can't say for sure. That's
Okay.
Exactly. The Red Bull obviously had found, I mean, they have found something with their DRS. I guess probably Adrian Newey has come up with something similar to the blown diffuser, whatever. And with that DRS, they seem to generate more top speed
Yes.
using their DRS. So I know people are looking into it, and maybe, who knows, sometime soon there might be a complaint if they figure out what Red Bull has been doing with their DRS. Because the speed at which Red Bull is able to overtake other cars once their DRS is activated
Bro,
is actually hilarious.
Verstappen literally he disappeared past Charles on that straight line.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like I'm like, brother, what is the
That we
see?
could
It's hard to
discount that
overtake the same
Checo
car.
is
Like the
street
same
car
thing is going to be hard.
specialist.
Wait, let's hear Miss Catchup, please. Miss Catchup.
I don't think that we could discount that when it comes to street car racing, that Checo is a specialist. He's the one that really has the highest conversion. He's really good on the street, so you have to give him his flowers.
Yeah. So
Everyone,
I think is
everyone's saying that
yeah. Go ahead,
Checo is
Adam.
the king of the streets. Okay, the streets are going to be over. I know this channel has been here since the
This guy is
2014.
he said the streets are going to be over.
The streets are
This
going to
guy
be
is
over.
wicked.
We are going to see who's going to take the championship. They say the only guy who's going to stop Max, but we're going to see. Like time is coming. Okay, Miami is a street, but like I doubt it.
If
Checo is
they
nothing to Max.
continue doing 1-2s, for the rest of the championship, there is a good chance that he could be in with a possibility of winning.
I doubt that.
Because right now he's only 6 points behind. If you always come second or first, you can equal and sometimes surpass.
All we
It,
need is a DNF for Max now. We need one DNF for Max.
You think
the
Max is
And
numbers
then
easy to
get
make a mistake?
no, I don't mean Max's own mistake. Electrical, something, fault with the with
you
the
don't
car.
have to make a mistake to come second. You could be outdriven on the day. It's possible.
I'll be back here like next week. Like I know next week Sunday, you're going to be talking again, and you're going to
Adam,
stress
let me
Checo.
also tell you, Adam,
Yeah, yeah.
do you know that Max was never in Checo's DRS from the restart after that safety car? So that is why I'm saying now that like nothing would have stopped Checo from winning this race.
I don't know. Maybe they like he was complaining about the brake balance or
Exactly.
something.
He
I'm not sure, but
wasn't. He wasn't in DRS for the last bit of the race at all. It
Adam,
was comfortable win for Checo.
Okay, so I'm about to push an agenda. Sorry. Is it funny? This may be me because I'm not a good I'm not a Red Bull fan. I don't like
Please
them.
push
But
it, push it, push it.
yeah. So my agenda is it not funny that every time Perez is ahead of Verstappen and he wins, Verstappen always begins to complain that there's something wrong with his car. Like Perez can never overtake you and win. There must be something wrong with your car for Perez to be winning. Like you try to push the
He
agenda saying
started
there's something
complaining
wrong with his car. And
about
I was like,
downshift and upshift.
Max has been complaining about
Hello,
that
hello,
shit
boss.
for a
Hello,
long time.
boss.
It's not like today.
Hello, boss.
Today not the first time.
yes,
If you want to,
Imade, I'm here.
no, no, no. I just want to say is like if you guys want to push this agenda, then it can actually go both ways. We can go in back in time. I'm not one for agenda, but we can go back in time
Imadi,
to try and
Imadi,
highlight.
Imadi, please,
Yeah,
Imadi,
you know
please.
where I'm going to.
I,
Okay, let me just keep my mouth
please
I
shut.
know
let's
it involves
please
Anyways,
Lewis
get out.
Hamilton. I know it involves
anyways,
Lewis Hamilton. Say it.
Let's forget the
okay,
past.
okay,
Let's talk about this season.
okay.
Let's talk about this season. Forget the past. The
Adam,
past is
Adam,
gone, but
just a
for
quick
this
question,
season.
Adam. Which team do you support, Adam?
I am a Red Bull fan, but
Okay, you're not
like
even ready. You're a
100 for
Verstappen,
Max.
you're a Verstappen, Orange Army, because you don't even like Perez. You don't even care about
No,
the
no, no.
second.
I appreciate Pep, but like I don't know how
You
people
are,
like try to
you
discourage him as
appreciate.
Max.
You
He's a
appreciate.
Verstappen sympathizer.
Okay.
No, no, no. Just say that. I'm an Orange Army, but like this. Anyways, we're going to wait for time. Time will
Anyways,
tell.
I actually wanted to. Can you hear me? I wanted to
Yeah.
say something as regards someone did, I think, was it an article, or I think it was an article about the benefit why Red Bull seems, aside the fact that it is the whole aero efficiency of the Red Bull and it works, is the working window is really large. There's one more particular thing that they said is sort of aiding their top speed, and it's not just the DRS, is the anti-dive and anti-bomb system that is both in front and at the back of the Red Bull. The pickup points of the suspension of the Red Bull is way higher than every other car. I If I start going into it is more of technical explanations, but the point is another thing that is favoring the Red Bull in straight line speed is, so one, the pickup points in front of the car, the front suspension and the rear suspension, and the type of suspension that is being used. I think they're using a pull rod in front and a push rod behind. Every other person is using the reverse of that. So that brings into Adrian Newey's knowledge of working on ground effect cars and couple of decades ago, and that has helped them with their whole aero efficiency and straight line speed. I just wanted to add that.
Yeah, absolutely. Adrian Newey, I am actually reading a book from How to Build a Car, and you can see he has that whole ground effect knowledge from the 70s or something like that, or 80s. So yeah, the other ones are kind of playing catch up. So, and another thing to mention, Red Bull has always had the shortest car. Their car seems to be the shortest compared to the rest. So, coupled with the whole suspension efficiency they have, yeah, Adrian Newey's masterclass is obviously very clear.
Okay. Thank you very much, guys. Okay, please let's I know we're looking to move on to the rest of the grid, so I guess let's just face front. You understand? Um, but yeah, okay. Moving on. Let's move to Alpine coming in this weekend. Alpine. I don't know. If I'm an Alpine fan, I'll feel very disappointed. I will feel deceived, and I would have lack of trust. Now, why did I say these three things? In the sense that my team principal, obviously I'm not an Alpine fan, but the team principal of Alpine, Otman, yeah. Anyway, if you know Otman, before you know that anything that Otman says, if Otman greets you good morning, you have to check whether it's not done, all right, But yeah, Otman came out to say that they aim to be competing for P2 in the constructors, which if and if you say you are coming to compete for P2, that means you have a package more solid than, first of all, unfortunately, Mercedes, Ferrari, and Aston Martin. Which, when they said it, I said, "Is this man okay?" But lo and behold, it turned out that asking the question, "Is this man okay?" Maybe he's not really okay, because there we saw the car reliability issue. The car is catching fire. I don't even know whether it's the sun from Baku that made the whole engine to just be catching fire. I don't know. But the why is Gasly's car catching fire? Ocon, every time you look at Ocon, is in the pits. him and Bottas, I don't know what more appearances in the pits. Different issues, they didn't have a clean weekend, So I feel, and sorry, in terms of reliability, they are still suffering reliability issues. Look at the engine cannot last. Upgrades they brought in, um, not, well, I say I don't, not evident. What's his name again? Ocon. I was looking when Hamilton and when Hamilton was making up his place. I was looking to see how if he would struggle, because I was trying to look out for Alpine space. But at the end of the day, it was more of a breeze for Lewis. At a point you had, I believe, at a point you had the McLaren, I think you have about 2 3 cars that were just in traffic, and Ocon just held them behind, and clearly they are still where they are in terms of development. They might have brought in a few upgrades. They brought in a floor. They brought in a lot of things. Well, yeah, they brought in floor, I believe new suspension, new front and rear wing. But clearly it's not. It hasn't been a very good weekend. Both drivers P14, P15. Just we even say, okay, even Magnussen had the better race than both Alpines. Albon finishing ahead of them. So I believe Alpine, in as much as they want to take one step forward, they are taking 2 steps back. So they need to. This reliability issue is still a very big factor for them, which they need to resolve as time goes on, because how long are they going to continue like this? And ultimately, I should be saying the truth. I beg, you should be saying the truth. This is not the. Yeah, he has been doing this thing from racing points days. He does not like to say the truth. You should be saying the truth. He's an old mate, and anyway, so I don't let me know. He's not old, but yeah, he's middle aged. But I believe he should be saying the truth and should be more realistic. He should not just open his mouth and say he's competing for P2. Where is he competing for? P2 way. But yeah, that's just my take. It's quite deceiving. You're an Alpine fan, sorry, but yeah. Okay, can we have Miss Catrock then, Regis, please?
The thing about Alpine today that floored me was, yeah, all the things you said. But what kind of strategy was that? What did you forget that you had to pick? You waited to the last possible moment in the last second of the race to go, oh crap, we didn't pick, quick, come in. Like, everybody pitted under the safety car. Why didn't you pick then? It was a free pit. And then even if you pitted 2 or 3 laps before the end of the race, why did you wait to the dying seconds of the race to pit? I was so confused because everybody was like, oh, they forgot to pit, they're gonna get a penalty, and then boom, out of the clear blue sky come in. These people are mad. They're mad, I tell you. Absolutely. They've taken some of Ferrari people in the strategy team and said, come over here. We need chaos. Come.
Thank you very much, Miss Catrock. Regis, please go ahead.
Do you know what it is? I feel like nobody would have prayed for a safety car in their lives more than Otmar Zafna and the Alpine team. You see why they waited till that 51st lap? I'm sure they were praying, God, let something happen. Safety car, red flag, something.
How is that a strategy?
Say again?
How is that a strategy? Who
It's a
told them to come
strategy.
with that strategy?
People plan for safety cars. I feel like they were waiting for a safety car to see if something happens, and it wasn't
No,
happening.
And it had happened.
Regis, now I get most point. Most point is saying you are
But
meant
they
to
were
have
already
strategy,
outside
not
of the
a
point.
strategy.
So what difference?
Exactly.
No,
They were
Ocon was in the points when he was running in 10th. If there was a
Yeah, he
safety,
was. So then why didn't you do the free stop at that point when everybody else was running in the garages?
No. So what happened during the safety car period was Ocon started on hards.
He's,
Alpine did not have another hard. So if they had pitted Ocon when the safety car came out, they would have had to put him on mediums, and mediums would not have stayed the course of the race. That's what happened.
and that
So
was
I think
when he
that's why
even
they
had,
See,
it
waited. So they
was
were
during
hoping
that
for a
safety car that he moved up to the position that he got. Even Magnussen, they were them Haas too were praying for something for Magnussen, for what's his name, for Hulkenberg. If there could be a safety car for them to pit this guy under the safety car and to
yes, but you need to do
But
that at
Alpine
lap
does it all the
40.
time now. They did it in 2022 too. I think I've forgotten what track. Was it 2022 or 2021?
I swear, I'm very
They've done
sure
it before.
they were praying for a safety car. That was their plan.
Play
The
for
plan
safety
was
car
Reggie,
towards the end
Reggie,
of the race.
they
It
were
didn't
praying
make no sense.
for a safety car, but you even if you're praying for a safety car, at least give yourself a buffer. 2 laps to the end, 3 laps to the end, not on the final lap, and you're now
I got
asking a
no
pole.
laps to
hey,
the end.
God answers prayers at different points now. I don't. As long as he's still within the race, it's not 51 laps. It can still
Listen,
happen. But personally, what I just feel is wrong with Alpine at this point is PT. They're having a post-traumatic stress from Australia. I don't. No, but admin, you need to cut them some slack. In Australia, let us remember that Gasly was literally on signs throughout the race. He was running properly. He was having a good race. Even Ocon, in his rights, had a good race. In Australia, if you look at it from a neutral perspective, from where he started and where he was before the whole chaos, how can you, with your driver, take out another driver, considering the fact that Gasly was running like he was sure he was going to get at least 6 points from that race, whatever, and then he ends up what, by the side of the road. Who put you out? You put yourself out with your teammate. I don't think the team have fully recovered, and it's still playing on God. Like, my brother, it's not easy. So when he says they are going to compete for number 2, you have to believe him, because going by Australia, he was in number 4 or number 5. So it's still the post-traumatic stress disorder, and the fact that their racing strategy today, which was God help us with safety car, did not work. I still feel like on a good day, they'll challenge the likes of Aston Martin. Aston Martin is near close to their mates. Aston Martin are feeling like they are Mercedes' mates, but I don't think so. I just think those guys are more of flatter to deceive. And when the real thing happens, it starts happening, them and Alpine will be mates. I yield the mic.
Reggie,
Okay, wait.
Reggie, when Aston Martin start performing, don't come and change mouths here. Oh.
If they hold me to this one, anybody should hold me. I said
Imade
that
change is constant. Change is
Aston
constant.
Martin and Alpine are mates. Aston Martin is not Mercedes' mate. They are not mates. All these ones are they have is always flatter to deceive. We've seen it plenty times. Watch.
Regis, you said PTSD. Me personally, I will not agree. Why will I not agree? Because when we started this helping conversation, I said this their team principal. They should not trust anything that's coming out from his mouth. It's still the same man that said the team has moved on. They are ready for Baku, ready for the challenge ahead. So which one is post-traumatic stress disorder? How are you there in the 51 laps? You are banking on safety. You are banking on safety car. You are just banking on safety car that what? You
They
would have just
can't. They can't be mates with Mercedes if they don't have a reliable car. At least with Mercedes, the car is reliable for the most part. It might not be fast, but it's reliable.
Thank you, Miss Cadro.
So, sorry, can I say something real quick?
Uh,
The person that
uh,
was
okay, Yoda, go ahead.
the person that was saying Alpine is better than Aston Martin this season. That's blasphemy. Let's be honest. If we're watching the same race, because
His name is
unfortunately
Reggie.
they
His name is Reggie.
I did not say
okay.
Alpine is better than McLaren, no.
Maybe Aston Martin. Need to see Aston Martin.
I did
You
not
know
say
that's blasphemy.
I did not say Alpine is better than Aston Martin, no. I did not say that, oh. I
Okay.
said they are mates. They are mates. That
Then
Aston Martin
no,
is not
not yet.
Mercedes'
Give them maybe
mate.
like 5 more races, but not yet.
You mean Alpine?
Alpine is not there yet, unfortunately.
And that's what I'm saying. As the season unfolds, we will know that Aston Martin and Alpine are mates. They will be the ones struggling for P4 and P5. You shall see.
Okay. Anyway, so just on Alpine, does anyone want to add anything on Alpine and what they hope from the team in Miami? Because next week is Miami.
Maybe they are suffering from the loss of Alonso.
A lot
Yes,
of
that
lots
drives
of
me to the next
Alonso.
point I want to say. That why I'm saying that they are mates is because I feel and I know that Ocon and Gasly are better drivers than Stroll, and only Alonso cannot carry Aston Martin to that position that they feel that they have in quotes or unquote.
Okay.
I
So
also have a question. Sorry, admin.
yeah, go ahead.
As regards the Gasly, I just want to know if anybody has an opinion as to the fact that what happens if Gasly has his final penalty and can no longer race for the rest of the season. Do you think they have like a backup driver somewhere or somebody that they have in
I was waiting to ask
plan?
that question.
They have Jack. It's not Jack Dohan.
But it's
There's
not the
No,
rest of the season. It's just one race ban.
yes, it's
it's
just
just
one
Just
one.
race
one race
ban.
ban.
It's
Yeah.
it's never a rest of the season. It's only one race ban. That's all I know.
It's just
Okay.
one. So hopefully,
He doesn't drive like there's 2 points to go till they snatch his license. He drives like I have no care in the world. I don't care. Aunt man told me I could do what I want.
but yeah, okay. Let's just
But
see.
just to point that he's close. So Gasly's license expires on the I think May. So he's very close. So if he can hold it out till May, then his license starts afresh, and then there's no penalty point, on his license. So I think he'll make it through.
It's foul. Oh, sorry.
Look at the
End of
face.
May.
Look
Yeah.
at the
So
face. The face is smaller than mustard seed. Look, bless you.
Let's see. Let's see. Hopefully, my own is that let Alpine just have a reliable car. Let's see what they are capable of doing this season because um now we don't know where possibly
Admin, sorry,
McLaren would have not even ended
where
up
did
in the
they
point.
finish today? I don't even know their position. Sorry.
Who Alpine
Yes.
P14 15. So yeah, so Gasly finished P14, Ocon P15. So yeah, it's just a very poor strategy. Did not have anything planned. We're just banking on safety car, which is quite sad. But yeah, moving on. Let's just enter Aston Martin. Um, Aston Martin, Alonso P4, Stroll P7. Looking at it, I think this was possibly the best place Stroll could have finished. Um, I don't know if they still have those DRS issues again, but I'm not sure.
No,
But
they didn't.
okay, so that's good for them. So Alonso of both between both drivers had the better race, which is obvious. Patiently um had Hamilton on his lap, and went past. Who else again? Science. At first I wasn't sure if he was going to catch Science, but when they were asking plan A, plan or plan C, they never saw B. I said, it's about to go down. So yeah, Alonso. I think P4 is not a bad result for Alonso considering he's had 3 podiums all season. So
I actually thought he had potential to finish third. I was pretty surprised that
Yeah,
Charles kept up the speed, the pace, and he wasn't able to get him. I thought he would finish third. I was for sure like he was gonna finish on the podium.
yeah. I personally thought that Charles would win it because that is capable of doing it. So I was just hoping that Charles would win it and probably see Alonso in the podium. But he proved me wrong, which is fine. Next now, next night should win a race. Which will be his next challenge. But sorry.
I think also the race, Alonso couldn't make any more further impact because there was less tire degradation on this track, which led to all of them driving how many laps with the hard tire almost to the end. So I guess that has been Ferrari's weak point as well in the first three races, that they suffered a lot of tire degradation.
Mm. I think this new regulation, this since the beginning of this new regulation, it has been one of their biggest um deficits. In terms of their tire degradation, because almost every track they go to, they tend to suffer tire degradation. We saw that last year, and we're seeing it again. This year, even though they said they had fixed it, but Matthias is not here to ask the question because he's the one that designed the car. But yeah, okay. Still on Aston Martin. Stroll. They told him that he should change his brake balance. They were giving him suggestion. I personally, I don't know. As a driver, I feel everyone has the way they drive their car. Even in your normal day to day, some of us that have wives, if you carry your wife's car, you probably adjust the seats front and back, to your comfort. But so in terms of the Formula One context of brake balance, I think maybe that was the moment where he gave Hamilton the chance, and Hamilton pounced on him, but thereafter it just seemed like Stroll didn't have the pace anymore. So I don't know. I cannot even I cannot me that I'm talking, I cannot even confirm if he really changed the brake balance or if he really listened to the suggestion, but I guess we're just going by what we saw. But yeah. Um Hopefully we're able to see something different in Miami. But going into Miami, I don't think there's going to be um much of a difference. Probably maybe closer to I feel probably they are going to be closer to the Ferraris, as before. But yeah, that's just my take on Aston Martins. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
Did you want to go ahead? Okay.
Miami seems to generate a lot of tire deck, so that could be their opportunity. But apart from that, Ferrari might still be ahead.
Yeah. So, Iman, did you want to go ahead? Then we'll have Miss Catwalk and Regis. Oh, then Olabode. Sorry, I think.
All right. Yeah, it's just the Aston. I think as Anabong said, I think this was the best result they could get because as much improvement as they've made over the winter, the car is still really draggy, and the 2 kilometer straight was definitely not helping them in any way, shape, or form. So, and Alonso does this. This is the third, I think, it's the third consecutive race now, if I'm right. And he does this thing of, oh yeah, I would attack towards the end of the race, and then he doesn't attack, or he realizes too late that he doesn't have the tires. And then all the commentators, like last race I was on F1 TV, this time I was on Sky Sports, blah blah blah. And they're always gassing him up. Like, when are you guys going to actually come to the realization that maybe this brother is continually misjudging the gap or misjudging his tire life and claims to have saved much more tire life to the end of the race? And then for Stroll, I think Stroll is the no adversity kind of driver. The moment cruising, he's comfortable, will most likely put up better performances. Because a different driver who is maybe really driving for his seat, when he made that mistake and Lewis was able to pass him, the driver might have even tried to fight back. And even if he's not even successful in overtaking Lewis, at least you could probably see the fight. But the moment he made a mistake and then he ran wide and Lewis overtook him, he didn't even bother. He was just bothered of was keeping Russell behind, and Russell already had dirty tires from also running wide, so there was no way Russell could pass him. So that's my own take on Stroll. There's one more thing I wanted to say. Oh, I can't remember now. Maybe if I remember, I'll come back. Yeah, thank you.
Please, Katra.
I was laughing. I don't should have when he was giving Stroll the advice about a break. And as soon as he gave him the advice, and I don't know what Stroll did, and next thing it was completely off his game. And clearly he can't take instructions in the middle of driving. Just leave him to do what he was doing because to be fair to Stroll, he was actually driving really well up to that point, and it just destabilized his race completely. I was just like, I shouldn't laugh, but
Exactly.
what is
Like who
that?
told Alonso his brake balance is the same as Stroll's? I
You
mean,
said
what kind of advice is that?
It's two different races. Like, why are you telling him?
To adjust his brakes.
Next thing
That
he was
man is
over
on fraud
the
watch.
race.
He wanted him to lose.
What's happening? And then the Sky people was like, oh look, this is a different Alonso. I wish some of his
He's
other
a
partners could have had this type of
proper
Alonso that he can do
saboteur.
stuff in the middle of the race. I said the only reason he's being nice is because Stroll dad is paying his check. What are you talking about? If that boy's daddy was not his boss, you think he'd be being nice during the race? This one, you
That
lot don't know Alonso, please.
he is a proper saboteur. How do you saboteur Lance? How,
but
how do you sabotage Lance? That man, he's old and crafty. I mean,
Like
what
a
was he
wild boar.
doing?
He's like, I have to make sure that I'm the number one in this team because if I don't do it like this, then the boy's dad will make sure that he's ahead of me. I'm not having that. That's what he's doing.
He's playing race tactics loudly. You understand? Like he's just a cunning. He's that cunning fox we read about in English books. How are you telling a guy who's perfectly not complaining that use that brake trick? Who asked you? You know, he was just
but sorry,
fine.
but I think at that time, if I'm not mistaken, at that time that was after the safety car, I believe. So
Yeah, but
possibly,
but Lance was fine and he was driving
yeah,
well.
yeah, but possibly my own opinion is that possibly he was scared that okay, maybe
Maybe he was
if it was a
driving too well.
sabotage,
He didn't want him to come and pass.
if it was a sabotage, then possibly yeah, because he was scared that okay, possibly you come and fight him. Because Lance has already told him he wasn't going to attack before the safety car. That they were waiting to get the mechs, but I don't
The
know.
word attack remained on his mind. He's like, what? This boy is thinking about it. No, I really didn't understand it either. Like, why? Lance didn't complain about his brakes. Why was Alonso trying to fix them?
Well, prefer break better
Anyway,
in the
I found him so awkward. Anyway, I'm jumping the queue. I wanted to talk about something else, but yes, I mean, I thought it was unnecessary. The guy was running his own race, and he was fine. The thing I wanted to talk about is which team principal is on fraud watch really. France Toast. We're glad he's gone. What is that guy from Ferrari going to do to Alpha Tauri? What has he done for Ferrari in the first place? And Otmar.
um.
Otmar
Okay,
is
Mo. I guess
Otmar is the biggest fraud going. He's at the top of the list.
Mo will come back to your question. Let's hear from Regis and Olabode, please. Thank you. Regis.
Yes, I had many things to say, but I'm forgetting. But I have this. I didn't forget this one for Imade. Imade, if Vettel, don't sweat it, relax. If Vettel was still in that car, do you think what Alonso is doing, Vettel will be doing this thing? That's my question to you. Then the things I wanted to say. I did not know that this man called Alonso is now a driver coach. That he's now driving. To be honest, I know he talks a lot. I love Alonso. Like I was watching in was it not in the first race, he overtook Carlos and went, yes, bye bye. I love those things. Yes, see you. Bye bye. I'm like, this guy is mad. I wish I had watched Alonso when he was younger. If he's doing this thing at 41, but when he was at Alpine, he wasn't, maybe because the car and himself were not one. So imagine what this guy would have been doing when he was winning races and winning world championships. I'm sure Alonso would have been fun. He's giving Stroll advice. Personally, I don't think he wasn't about sabotaging him. The only problem that it now happened after the advice, Stroll now strolled off the road. And we don't even know if Stroll took the advice, but it's almost like, see, this thing is working for me. I've been able to keep Science was at least 9 seconds behind him or thereabout. He was driving, he was running his own race. Say, try this. It might work for him. It might put him out between these two Mercedes. Who knows? I don't think he that man is thinking about the next 5 years. He wants to be at Aston Martin for another 5 years. So he's trying to be son of Stroll, of Lawrence, doing things, saying over the radio. Stroll on the other hand, I think I agree that he did the best. Like that was the best result he was going to get from this race. Finishing ahead of George, he will sit back and be like, "Oh yeah, I done all right." So yeah, Ima, the question is for you, and I'll still maintain that Aston Martin and Alpine will be fighting when the season kicks off properly. Are you the man?
Sorry, Imade, just before you answer, I just wanted to quickly say, to be fair to Alonso, I can't even believe I'm supporting this guy. But to be fair to Alonso, right? Stroll had made a mistake, and I was so sure that Lewis was going to jump him before Alonso even gave him the advice, and then he made another mistake again, and then Lewis jumped him. So it's possible that, I mean, Stroll had been driving well, but it's also possible that he didn't take the advice because he had made a mistake initially, and I was so sure Lewis was going to get ahead of him. But somehow he got away with it. So it's possible that
Yeah. It's just the pressure from Lewis
yeah, it's possible
first.
that it's the pressure and not Alonso's advice. Because when he made the first mistake, Alonso had not given him that advice, and then not too long he makes it again, the same mistake. I was like, yeah. So I don't think it's the Alonso's advice. I think Stroll, just cracked under pressure.
Imagine somebody driving a car and saying, "Oh, this car is very, very nice."
Yeah. Anyways, Regis, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Made.
I just want to ask you a question. Did you watch Vettel in 2015 and 2016?
I've seen all the highlights. I didn't watch him
Mm-mm.
on the race day. I'm not even going to
My
lie to
point
you.
is, if you watched that, everyone feels Alonso is a great driver, and everyone feels, oh, he extracts more than what is possible from the car. And I continue to maintain myself that nobody, human on earth, can extract 110% from a car. If you're extracting, you can extract close to the optimal performance of the car, but you can't go above it because it is a machine. It would break. So the whole hype, and that is why when I spoke earlier, I spoke about the hype that the commentators give Alonso. No one is ignoring his talents. Everyone knows if the stars aligned for him, he might have gotten more than two championships. But he's a great driver. He extracts more from the car. But if you're saying, oh, would Vettel be able to do this? If you watch 2015, 2016, Vettel was able to extract more from the car. But there's a point in time when it comes to when you are not one with the car. It's just like saying, oh, Lewis has claimed he's not one with his car. You are claiming, oh, he should extract the most from the car. He knows his ability. He knows when things align for him, he'll be able to extract more. So all this from Alonso, as much as brilliant as it is, as you can't really put it together. But Vettel has done this. The point I'm trying to make is Vettel has done this in time past. So saying he's not going to be able to do it now is maybe you just intentionally hating on him.
No, I'm not hating on him. Oh, I'm not. If you say Vettel has done it before, that means you're saying that Vettel would have been doing the same thing Alonso is doing.
Yes, that's my point.
Okay, no problems. I'll allow the house to make their own opinions. Maybe later on we'll still talk about it. But let's finish with Aston Martin.
Okay. Okay. Let's hear from Olabode. Thank you.
I, so concerning Aston Martins, I think that Charles made a statement in his post-race interview, and he said, "Oh, we all know what Alonso does. He beats his time and waits and tries to pressure you to use your tires and whatnot." So I think the Alonso tactics is known now. I think he tried it with Lewis the last race, I think, or last races, where he tries to apply pressure and allows you to use your tires. But then, obviously, Lewis is the greatest to do it, so he knows this thing. And Charles really called that out. So Charles managed the tires as much as Alonso was trying to manage the tires. And then at the final stage, when Alonso thought, oh, he had time to get at Charles to up this game. And someone had said, I think Crofty had said something about where did all of that pace come from Charles. And I just realized, oh, this guy was tire managing all the while. And I think that caught Alonso. Then I also think that there was also I think another thing that aside from everyone says Alonso is trying to sabotage um, Stroll. I don't think that was the case. I think what must have killed Alonso. I mean, Stroll, two things. He had Lewis behind him. He was no match for Lewis when it comes to pressure on driving pressure. That's also the part where he thought he was playing Alonso's game, and I think that also affected his race. The fact where he said, "Oh, we're playing the same game." Even Alonso's game did not play out for Alonso. So you trying to play Alonso's game was also not good for you because that just meant that you were holding up people behind people. I mean, Alonso was holding him up for people to get close to him. I think so. I think that also. I think those are like the two factors. I don't think the brake thing because we've seen drivers give suggestions to like teammates. Max did it with Checo in one of the races where he told him that the air tires would hold, that should stay in the car. Lewis gave an advice, I think, to Bottas in 2020. I'm not sure about Bottas catching up that the tires were good enough. So I don't think it was intended to sabotage the race. I think it was more about um, Stroll thinking he could play Alonso's game, which Alonso himself was not good at playing today, and also the fact that he had like Eno had stated the Lewis pressure behind him. Then yeah, pretty much that.
Thank you, boss. Okay. Mo. Okay, Mo. I guess is your question, I believe. Which
Yes,
team principals on forward?
mine
Well,
was, yeah. What do you guys think of the guy that's leaving Ferrari to go to Alpha Tauri? Otmar has clearly been outperformed by Mike Crank, because as a team boss, I think you should be able to know that the new regulations are coming, snatch the best guy. And like Catrox was saying, there's something really crazy about their strategy. It's like there's none. How are you pitting the guy on the last lap? How are you pitching the guy on the last lap? Probably even the FIA had thought there's nobody coming down this speed. That's why they
On
had
the
their
last few seconds
that
of the last lap,
exactly.
not
That's
the
why they
last lap,
had
not the beginning.
that's why they had their stuff out there hanging around, and then suddenly there's a car. And then, I mean, Otmar, I don't know, is it the team? Well, I mean, because I think during the break, he was saying they're going to catch Mercedes as the second best team. Toto Wolf, of course, the Mercedes camp is extremely upset. I don't know if that car is even third. I think it's a good fourth. I think Ferrari is sitting on a car that can consistently be second. And as you can see, Aston has really leapfrogged Mercedes. So I think Mercedes is also seated on fourth. I don't know what Toto is going to pull out in Imola. I have very little faith because I remember the Barcelona story. People were telling us the W13 after Barcelona is going to be the king of the field. So I'm a bit antsy about that. And of course, he's the $1 billion man now. Everybody, especially Honor, will be looking to take a dig at him. So, what do you guys think of the team principal market? I think it's been cracked that you shouldn't let a guy just sit around and do nothing. So Franz Tost was very lucky to have 28 years of zero delivery. I think those days are done. And people have seen that you can have somebody who's been there before and he can come and do a good job. I think Crank, if they make third, will be tapping himself on the shoulder. If Mercedes doesn't arise, Aston Martin has even more wind tunnel time. So I don't know about this Lorraine Marquis. He was there with Binotto. And I don't think he's made anything significant, but well, if you have a promotion, you have it. And James Valls, I think he can do something with that. Williams, they need, I think, probably a bit more money, a bit more infrastructure. I don't know where it's going to come from. Anyway, my whole thing is team principles. Can we put them in the spotlight? I mean, the drivers, we have them already. How about the team principles? Because pre 2021, I think also Honor was supposed to be somewhere on some chopping block. I don't know if that was true or it was just himself having a lot of pressure. So what happens? What do you guys think?
From our
Go ahead, boss.
From our point of view, as regards the whole team principal market, okay, if I start with Alpha Tauri, I think is there's a long overdue change there. And a couple of weeks ago, I think at the second race, I said I suspect ultimately the new management of Red Bull, since Dietrich Mateschitz died, might want to offload Alpha Tauri, since they don't have, quote unquote, they don't have the racing blood in them, or they're having disputes with and Marco. So Alpha Tauri is due for a change. They can't just consistently be
Mm, Is it just me? I think we lost him.
I
Annabelle,
don't
can
know.
you hear
Can
him?
you hear us?
No, I
Can you
can't.
hear him?
Okay. No. Okay. So, Madhubit, I guess we'll bring you back up again. Okay. Regis, do you want to go ahead and Miss Catra,
Yeah,
please?
yes, please. What I want to say is to Mo. There was something you said. I understand that maybe Zafna has I don't know the guy, but you said he's been in this game for 28 years. So if he has been here for 28 years, believe me, trust me, he must have been doing something right, or he is doing something right. Let us let us I don't know, not like give him his flowers, but to be in the game that long, he must know something. Then about this guy going to Alpha Tauri, the guy from Ferrari. I'll give you an instance in football. There's this guy called Michael Carrick. He was the second, or not like second. He was one of the coaching staff of a man called Ole Gunnar Solskjaer at Chelsea at United. But you never know what those guys are doing till they take over. Michael Carrick went to a club in the second division and he's about in the championship. He's about to bring them to the second division and to the Premiership now. That is when he took over. That to show you he has the grit. In fact, some people will say that Michael Carrick, who was the second or one of the management guys on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, is better than Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and I'm among one of those people. Another guy on that team called Steve McKenna. He went to a club in the League One and he's bringing them up to the championship. He is part of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. So that guy who has been at Ferrari, and Ferrari has been a top team for God knows how long. I don't know how long he's been there. He's probably been there for the duration of Binotto, or even before Binotto. I don't know who was there. We can check. Maybe he's been there for more than 15 years. I want to believe that they must have seen something in him. And if he's been there for 15 years, he's doing something right. Let us take, for instance, this guy that has gone to Williams, the Mercedes guy. We all know how much of an impact he made in those 8 years of dominance of Mercedes. So I feel like they must have seen something. And if you ask me, I'll say it's a good buy, because when you take one of these second guys in a side that is close to the top, there's something, you extract some knowledge from them one way or the other. I yield the mind.
Thank you, boss. Okay, let's have a Miss Catrock. Thank you.
To me, the in the market of team principals, the most effective one so far has been Williams, and I think that considering when he went, he said he was amazed that they didn't even have some of the basics that the top teams have, and they're still really competing in the upper and middle range, and they have been quite consistent in when they finishing quite near to the top of the middle. So for me, I think that that has been a really good change. I'm not so sure about the Ferrari guy, um, but we'll have to wait and see. But I do think that, I mean, it's 10 jobs, isn't it? And how many people are out there that have the necessary skills that could take the team in the direction that it needs to go? I think that it's quite difficult trying to hire that person, and that really is a problem right now. And even when they try to promote internally, they don't always get it right. So, for instance, with Mercedes, they now have to swap back to who they had before. And but what I didn't like on Sky is when they were saying, "Oh, you know, it didn't work with Elliot," and instead of sacking him and let him go, they gave him another promotion. And I just think that it's a very British thing to want people to lose their jobs. Sometimes you are in a job that really isn't suitable to your skill set, and you might do a better job over here. So why should you lose your job when you could be of benefit to the company in a different position? It's just so silly. But it's, to me, it's a very British thing anyway. But yeah, that's my thoughts.
Thank you very much, Miss Catrock. Okay. Moving on a bit. Okay, does anyone still want to chip in on Aston Martin or what anyone has said? Then we'll just move on to I think Alfa Romero. I think there's a bit to discuss on there. Okay, let's go.
I don't
Okay,
know.
go.
Alfa Romeo seems to, I don't know, to have just gone off so much. And it's because I think they don't have a team principal, because they got Andreas from McLaren, and he's, I think, a CEO, and then there's somebody who's supposed to double as a finance guy and a team principal. I think they are lost. I just see them just degenerating. Same to Alpine, those two, and then Alpha Tauri and Williams are actually making gains. McLaren started off on a bad foot, but I think generally they've made a good decision with Oscar. I think he'll be the best rookie, really, followed by Sargent and then De Vries. So I think they've made a good decision with that. They are making quite a number of changes, and I think they are turning it around. They can be able to get points. But Alfa Romeo, they're always ending races. I mean, they have a Ferrari engine. Even Haas is a better team than Alfa Romeo, and yet they seem to should be better than some of these that are coming up against them. I find the team quite wanting. I don't know what they're lacking, but they're clearly lacking something. You could think Bottas never came this year. I mean, he's not racing at all. So I don't know what's going on there. It's quite
But
a
you have to
strange
ask, is
phenomena.
it Bottas or the car? Because they went in 3 times. That can't be just Bottas. It must be an issue with the car because nobody else went in 3 times.
And
The whole
but let me say something. Today they lap Bottas, no?
Yeah, they did. He got a blue
Yeah.
flag and don't get out of the way
So how are they lapping a champion
because he
or an
went in
ex
three
champion?
times. I don't even think he went in
No, no,
before
yeah,
What?
but
everybody
Bottas had
even.
an issue with his car though. That's
Yeah,
why he
and
came in a
I'm
Okay.
couple of
telling you,
times.
it
So
must have been a car issue
yeah,
because
in the beginning, I think on lap one, Hockenberg hit him
oh
from
yeah, he
Oh
behind.
did,
yeah,
he
yeah,
did. That's
yeah.
Yeah,
true. That's true.
yeah.
Yes,
So
he
he had
got
an issue
sandwiched
with his
him.
car.
He
Because
got
that's why they had trash on the track because they were like, "What's this crap on the?" And then it was the Hockenberg. Yeah, you're right.
No, but I think if anything for the Alfa Romeo, for me, it's just really sad that Joe has not had an opportunity to show what he can do. I feel that Joe is a really good driver. I mean, I may be shooting it, but he just strikes me as a driver that would do really well if he was in a team, where the car was good. I think if anything, I mean, the team itself, I don't know, they're struggling, which is funny because when we came into testing in Bahrain, they showed potential. So I thought that the Alfa Romeo was going to bring it. I actually thought that they were going to be on par with the Alpines. But it's pretty sad to see that even the Williams is ahead of them and has to. But if anything, I just feel really bad for Joe that he's not had an opportunity to show what he can do. I don't know how long his contract is with Alfa Romeo, but I hope that maybe at the end of the season, a seat comes up in a different team and someone can consider Joe because I just don't think that he would thrive in that team. We all know that Bottas has reached retirement, so but for Joe, I just think it's really sad that we don't get to see what he can do.
Sorry, sorry,
Yeah,
admin.
go
Why
ahead.
everybody? Why are we all talk? Nobody has talked about that. Why is this not possibly due to post Frederick Vassar, whatever his name is? Don't you think maybe he had a proper glue on that team and was pushing them forward? I don't. Nobody's saying, "Oh, this guy has left." It's only the drivers,
That's
go,
what
go,
I'm
go down.
saying.
I
No,
think
that's it.
Frederick was doing
That's one of
something good.
yeah.
Yeah.
He was doing something good there, and when he left, there was this Andreas guy from McLaren, and then it's like this whole structure is just not working. Maybe they're waiting for Audi money to hit 1 year from now, and then Audi is waiting to restructure the team the way they want. Because, like, honestly, they don't have a team principle. It's like even when you look at I don't know what's going on there. I mean, their car DNFs way too often.
The number of
I think
times Bottas went into the pits today
they'll be
would have been
dead
enough
last
to go
this
around
year.
the track 3 times.
They'll be
Yeah,
dead
but that was
last
not his
this year.
fault, to be honest. So I mean, we can let that one slide. I think because that wasn't his fault.
But why is he
Yeah, they'll
changing
be.
tire now? What's wrong? Why is he changing tire up and down?
No, no, Hulkenberg hit him in the beginning, right? That's how he even lost 5 places.
That is number one.
No, but
After that one,
I think he had damage to the car. I
he
don't know
now
how
he
that
went in.
affects.
He went in that time. He went in during the safety car. He went in again.
Admin, give Regis Andrea's email because I don't know.
3 times.
I
So
don't know.
I'll be four self. I might be missing one.
Anyway, it's quite unfortunate. It's quite Andres, I don't know. They said this is restructuring. I'm preparing for when Audi is to come in. Me, I don't know what he's preparing for. That's why they have team representative. That man self, it's only once I've even seen him on television. Self, they don't even show himself. I don't know. Maybe they're not so. Maybe he's not so smiling with his Sky people or the F1 TV people. Maybe I don't know. But yeah, I don't know if I remember. I just feel that they've dropped as compared to last season where they started out so well. Then it just seems that from that last season they've just been falling. Normally this new season you're meant to reset, but it's like yes, they are just still falling down. And yeah. So I don't know where they're headed. And then obviously I hope Valtteri is pushing the team as he says he's pushing the team inside because well, I mean I see Valtteri doing after his judgment
To
is
be
set.
fair to him, he can't push the team on its own. He already pushed them two slots up the grid last year. They need to help him. He can't take the
Yeah,
whole
yeah,
team on his
yeah.
back. They need to get it together.
Well, they're all in it together, so I guess it's their responsibility. But yeah, okay. Does anyone still want to chip in on Alfa Romeo just quickly before we touch Haas and Williams? Okay. Um, Haas. Haas too. I don't know. They came into this Grand Prix. I don't. I, for some reason, it seemed like how do I explain it? It seemed like I think Hulkenberg got lapped as well. If I'm not mistaken, I believe he got lapped as well. And if I'm not mistaken, they didn't also pit early enough. They were also banking on his safety, which eventually, yeah, I'm not sure you expect anything less from Haas. The only thing working in Haas is their sponsor MoneyGram, and it's not even Haas or has anything to do with Haas. I don't understand. And funny enough, they brought in upgrades this week. You know, but I think the only positive I would just give them is in terms of whatever issue Magnussen had in, was it sprint or sprint shootout, whatever, whichever event it was. But at the end of the day, he was able to finish the race. Finishing P13, and then Hulkenberg. Okay, so I think Hulkenberg ran on, okay, only did 50 laps. So yeah, so probably like okay, yeah. So only did 50 laps because he got laps. So yeah, I think for Haas it will be interesting to see what happens in Miami. Though I don't expect anything important. I don't expect anything big coming from them. Maybe Kevin Nico is once again going to outshine Magnussen. I don't know if anyone has seen it recently. Gunther Steiner said he has given K-Mark 5 races to earn his seats for 2024.
Yeah, I saw that.
You see how life comes at you very quickly. When when he was helping them negotiate the driver that will come and drive with him. Now he's the one on the receiving end. What what God cannot do does not exist. Well, yeah. Okay. Let's see if he's able to meet up to the challenge. As Magnus, he has said that he's a guy that likes challenge, so let's see if he's able to meet up with the challenge. But look, Hulkenberg, um, to be honest, I don't even have anything to say to him. Fair play, fair play, fair play. Came back after 2 years, thought he will never even drive a car again. He has since it. Obviously, I think if we're even being honest, there's a lack of talent, quality talent in the driver pool. Not saying Hockenberg is not a talented driver, but generally, But yeah, fair play to him. He has outshone his teammates separately. I think the team. According to Gunther, he said he's enjoying both drivers, but recently he has given one ultimatum, which is kind of weird. But I think it's too early to start giving one driver ultimatum. It's just you are okay. We have not even, when you are giving ultimatum, it's not even yet race 4, or we have not even done race 4. You're already giving ultimatum. So that means by 4, 5, 6, 7. So by if we're counting this race, okay, sorry, round 8. So by round 8, we should know whether Kmart will have a seat. 1, 2, 3, 4. So by Spielberg, we should know whether Kmart will get a seat, which is just very stupid from my own point of view, though, because if now Kmart goes on from Austria, score points in Hungary, Belgium, Netherlands, Italy, Singapore, Japan, down to Abu Dhabi, then he looks very, will I say, then he looks very stupid, But I feel it's too early to start giving someone ultimatum for 5 races. Be acting like lesson teacher. Man, this Gunter guy. But yeah, Williams, James Vowles. Obviously, James Vowles said that his Windows XP they are still using. They are trying to get the latest updates. I think there's a place that they said Williams. I'm not sure, but I believe they said Williams in terms of their capital expenditure is about $45 million, which includes development and stuff like that. But I'll try and get it. But yeah. Regardless, I feel that Williams this weekend they've made a bit of progress, and it's evidence in their car, even the drivers that they've gone for. Okay, yeah. So Williams' infrastructural progress can't be rushed due to F1's budget cap, says James Vowles, who smaller teams struggle due to lower infrastructure baseline. It said Williams lacks a computer login system for F1 car components and usage. $45 million annual capital expenditure cap makes it difficult to catch up. So I believe probably that's how much they um spend. So they don't necessarily get to the limit if they are spending around 45 million in a sport whereby what's the budget cap? Is it not 145 million or 140 million? Thereabout. So if they don't even spend I believe even up to 50%, then I guess some of us we should understand and see why the budget cap is in place, because if Williams don't spend up to 45 million, but Mercedes they can spend up to 300 million, but Red Bull can spend up to 300 million or thereabouts, then how do we expect the sport to be, well, I say, be balanced and fun for everyone? So, well, for Williams, I think the main thing is that they need what do you call it? They need to catch up and they need big investments. Hopefully, their owners, have something planned for them to achieve this step. But yeah, I don't know if anyone wants to chip in on Haas and Williams.
So I learned, or somebody said that Nico Hulkenberg is always top of the, what do they call it? Top of the midfield driver. When I think it's these F1 guys that were saying it, and to be honest, he is proving it. I've seen him in qualifying. He knows how to get his car into Q2 somehow, somewhere, and it's not just Q2 of his 11th or 12th or like he is really, really he's putting fire, like one of my managers. He's putting fire in Magnussen's bomb, and I don't think it's fair for if Gunter actually came out to say we are giving Magnussen 5 races to prove himself. That kind of statement goes two ways. You can either make the person, if the person is not mentally, fit or mentally, rigid, you break them. You might see Magnussen just falling off just because he's thinking, oh, I've got only 5 races to do the
But
5
that's
races.
what he did to make Schumacher too, right? So and we shouldn't be surprised.
But it's not fair. You see, Mick was really feeble. Mick is a young lad. He even made him to. He got worse. He'll just be driving, I think the one that I was just watching, was it not in Japan? Which one? He was just driving on his own. They say, oh yeah, push more. And he just ran off. You don't do that to drivers. But anyways, I don't know what their end goal is. I think these teams always have their targets. I don't know what their target is. Right now, if you ask me, I don't think they're meeting it because Hulkenberg and Magnussen are like, these guys are two of them together will have up to close to 12 years of F1, if not more self, 12 years of experience in Formula One, which is up there with one of the best in the whatever on the grid. So I feel like they should be doing better. And if you ask me which team has made the most progress, man, we saw Williams last season. The Williams now, I won't be surprised if you see Albon coming eighth or seventh. Like they have made that progress, even though you're saying to me now that Vals is still saying there's still a lot to be done. So I feel like the impact he has made on the team in this short period is evident compared to a team like Alfa Romeo we're talking about that I don't even know who their team principal is. And if they continue like this, I just feel like it's only a matter of time before Sargent scores his first points in Formula One, which I think he's going to do at some point. And Albon should stop granting all these interviews to these guys and focus on racing. He is too. I know he's good to be a nice guy, soft, outgoing, nice, but sometimes just stay in the zone. Stay in the zone and hit it hard. Hit the. I know this. I'm a cheeky chappy. Forget it and race. I know he has it in him, and he'll score more points. Maybe get Williams up to like. I feel like they might finish maybe seventh in the constructors in the end, 7-6 somewhere. I yield the mic.
Thank you, Regis. Miss Catrock.
The problem I have is that Gunter wants his drivers to do the impossible for the ungrateful. He don't want to do no investment. He wants them to get something out of nothing. He needs to put some money in. Stop being out here chatting nonsense in people's head and get it together. Because quite frankly, it don't matter who you put in the car if it's a piece of S. Because quite frankly, that is what it is. Invest in the car, put some money in, get a simulator, and you get better results. What do you think? That you can put nothing in and get something out? Are you Jesus? You're not. Come to the front, Gunther, and look and see what everybody else is doing. You ain't doing nothing.
Thank you very much, Miss Catrock. Um, I know most spoke about which team principal is on fraud watch, but if we're even being very honest, sometimes I always wonder, Gunther, are you always the right man for this team? Or rather, if they were to take you out of the equation, would this team turn
I
out?
was just thinking the same thing. Because if every time you get a different driver, it's the same result, and the denominator is you, Gunther, what do you think the problem is, sir? You're the problem. It's me. I'm the problem. It's me. That's what he should be singing.
But yeah, so I think I wonder sometimes maybe if another person had comes in, because House, you don't hear House are recruiting personnel. All you hear is that they're trying to save money, they're looking for
They're too
sponsors,
cheap. That's the problem.
you know.
They're too cheap. They probably got volunteers running the team.
That's why they'll keep Gunter now. They're not spending money and he's not disturbing them. So Mr. Jean, let us not spend money. That's good. That's what owners, that's what all these whatever, CEOs or whatever, that's what they want. Little input, maximum output. How they call that? Minimum effort, maximum reward. By
But he's not getting no rewards. So this strategy is not working.
by threatening your drivers every week. You threaten them. Say, oh boy, today.
The drivers are like, down in Haas is not a safe space.
I think it should be interesting to see how the season goes for us as a team. If they're able to score more points. But personally, with the way everybody's improving, McLaren has improved. Maybe Williams is trying to improve. You kind of have which other team is there? Alpine.
Imagine if teams used to go on relegation. If you come last, you go down.
And we'll not have Williams and
Imagine not go down. You come last, you sit out the
Co-
next time. You
you
don't
sit
get
down.
to you
Someone
don't
from
get to
someone
play.
from F2 come up.
Exactly.
You will spend money by force.
Oh, that means anyway. Some drivers will lose their job, sha, because there will be no point in keeping you now or paying you while you're not driving, or rather, maybe except maybe there's a junior category. But imagine it was like F1, then House will now go back to F2, and then they will now have to build an F2 car and compete in F2 or something like that. And then maybe if they relegate again, they go to F3, build F3 car. Then you now have Magnussen with all these small children, and it's gonna look like an Agbaya or uncle setting. But yeah, okay, back to reality. Has I hope as I said, they can make the developments. Even though I don't hope, even though I know nothing is coming, because for Gunther it's just vibes. He has released book. He released book and went on 4-day book tour. For some reason, I personally, I don't know. I don't if I will not judge if you buy Gunther's book here, but me personally, I would say, what has Gunther achieved that is writing book? You
These
understand?
guys they are milking this thing. Somebody somewhere said just knew that Gunter is going to sell and said, "Come,
Yeah.
let us make money." Simple.
Well, he's writing book. Hopefully, how do you call it? As he said he sold some books, sha. So hopefully he has cashed out from that aspect of his life, thanks to Netflix. But in terms of team performance, I don't think progression is not necessarily where they are. For me, I would even say in terms of last year, if you compare to last year they were much more. I'm sure at round four they had secured more points than this, But I
Maybe
don't know.
he's writing about his success in rallying.
In way rallying, or was it successful? Or is it? Oh no, that's just my opinion. I'm asking a question. But yeah, okay. Um,
He did work with Colin McRae. Maybe that's his claim to fame.
okay. Okay. Let's see. What team? Okay. I think just Alpha Tarian. Okay, I know I've spoken on Nick Differs, but I don't know if anyone wants to still share or say anything on Alpha Tari. I think this is our last team for the day. Yeah. So Alpha Tari. So okay, what do you guys think is the next step for now for Nick Differs? How do you think he can bounce back?
A pink slip.
A pink slip. Okay. Well, next week is Miami. We're going back to regular scheduled programming. So we'll have FP1, FP2, FP3. So no team will have opportunity to say that they didn't get the right setup. Now you have 3 hours to get this setup right. And yeah, I don't know, what are you guys expecting for Miami? What do you guys think? Do you think Red Bull will still? Obviously, I expect Red Bull to still dominate, but in terms of the rest of the field, I think for this season, till we see a team that is able to reach that Red Bull benchmark, let's just
But to
remove
be
Red Bull from the
fair,
equation.
Miami is also not an exciting race. It's going to be boring. So
Yeah.
that's what I think.
Well. I think with Miami, we just had only one race in Miami, so this will be our second race in Miami. So It'll be interesting to see going back again. So yeah. Even though I don't look forward to it because of I believe the timing is sometime in the evening, but I think if I'm not mistaken, okay, yeah, so it's 8:30, the race, 9 p.m. quali, then okay, FP2 goes on till 12 a.m. and then FP3 6:30 in the evening, and FP1 goes on till 8:30, so 7:30 to 8:30. So yeah, it's well, I say it's in as much as in the evening. So sometimes I wish the races were earlier, but yeah, I think we on the GMT plus and West African time are actually favored as to the people in Australia and in the US. So yeah, I don't think we should really necessarily complain.
Admit, what do you say the times again? Sorry.
Okay, so the race is going to be 8:30 p.m.
Okay, say less.
So we'll be having a late space, but hopefully the cooking will not be too much because the much cooking we all sleep here that night. But yeah. Anyways, guys, thank you very much to everyone that's joined us today. Um, does anyone want to quickly add anything just before we round up?
More wins to Checo. More wins to Checo. More wins to Checo.
Well, God help him. Hopefully, when we get back to traditional tracks, you'll be able to still dominate those tracks. Well, Miami is a bit different in the sense that everyone has a bit of limited knowledge. But yeah, let's see what he's able to do in Miami. But
Max won there last year, isn't it? Yeah.
yeah, Max won.
He just picked Leclerc to it, I remember.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's a stupid track.
So the track is still become Max won.
No, nothing like that. Not like that.
Okay. Okay. All right then. Uh, okay then. Thank you very much, guys. It's been a very good one. Thank you to everyone. Anabang, thank you so much for helping out. And hope to see you guys again next weekend. And we out. Thank you. God bless you all.